Chapter 233. Fusion of Yin and Yang. That's right. Only with the help of the fusion of Yin and Yang can she wake up. The fusion of Yin and Yang is the most mysterious communication between a man and a woman. When Yin and Yang meet, their energy will merge into one and form a big cycle in their bodies. The fusion of energy will lead to the sublimation of their souls and achieve the true fusion of their souls and bodies. At that time, you don't need to wake her up. Your minds will be connected and you will wake up naturally. You won't be affected at all. On the contrary, whether it's you or her, both of you will be greatly improved in the fusion of Yin and Yang. After hearing what the treasure-hunting sword spirit said, Chen Hao fell silent and frowned. After half a minute, he asked, "Is there no other way?" "No. There are only two ways. I'm afraid only the second way can be done. You've already stepped into the golden core realm. Actually, you don't have to worry so much," said the treasure-hunting sword spirit. Chen Hao didn't say anything else. His mind went directly to Itota's soul. How long will it take to master the possession technique? With my talent, it's the fastest speed. 1 day. No, 16 hours. Can I use it? I have to use it immediately. Cough. That won't do. Why not? You're only in the early stage of the golden core realm. Even if you can understand the possession technique immediately, you have to set up the broken yang and pure yin sacrificial altar before you can use it. Otherwise, your soul will dissipate when it leaves your body, not to mention the possession technique. If I can understand it immediately, how long will it take to use it? If I have all the materials, it will take at least 3 days to set up the broken yang and pure yin sacrificial altar. Also, I have to choose a full moon night. But when I set up the immortal trapping array, all the materials were destroyed by you, damn it. Chen Hao cursed and his mind jumped out of his mind. A full moon night? There's no full moon here. In 4 months, it'll be too late. Looking at Tan Tai Lian's motionless figure, Chen Hao really had a headache. Facing such a beautiful woman, it was impossible to say that he didn't have any desire. However, in the past, although Chen Hao had done this countless times with the best women on earth, it was only an exchange of interests and a pure venting of primitive desires. There was no such thing as soul fusion, but he was also unbridled and fearless because he didn't need to take any responsibility. All he needed to do was to give the other party enough benefits. That was emotionless. However, things were different now. Once he did it, how would he face it? Where should he go from here? The knot in his heart could not be untied. Time ticked by. Every minute and every second was torture for Chen Hao. He kept pacing, shaking his head, and looking at Tan Tai Lian. He fell into intense torment and inner struggle. You still have a way, don't you? In Chen Hao's mind, the treasure-hunting sword spirit sensed the mysterious and terrifying existence and asked. So what if I do? So what if he didn't? This is his inner demon. How he chooses is up to him. This time, I can't interfere. Humph, didn't you stop him from mixing yin and yang in the past? Why aren't you stopping me now? The treasure-hunting sword spirit asked unhappily. The past is the past, and the present is the present. This is tempering. What do you know? Human emotions are the most mysterious thing in the world. The power it can unleash is also beyond your imagination. When the time comes, it's up to him to choose. I can only interfere when I'm absolutely sure he's right. When I'm not sure, I can only let him choose. Otherwise, he'll still become my original master. Everyone has their own Tao. Only by walking your own Tao can you truly attain Tao. The mysterious existence's tone was uncertain for the first time. He had accompanied countless masters, but none of them had reached the end. Why was it that under his complete control, they were clearly getting closer and closer to the final goal, but they all failed in the end? Once, twice, thrice, and 4 times. How many times had the same result in a row? He had no choice but to find the problem with himself. It was also because of this that he said what he said just now. Perhaps the root cause of the mistake was him. Everyone had their own Tao, but he had paved the way for everyone to walk on. Therefore, when he met Chen Hao this time, he didn't do that again. He only interfered when he was completely sure that he was right. As for the rest, he would let nature take its course. He didn't pave the way. Only when he saw the path Chen Hao was going to take would he confirm the direction of his assistance. Fusion of yin and yang. How do I do it? Finally, when there were only 4 hours left and one of Tan Tai Lian's souls was about to disperse, a gleam flashed through the eyes of Chen Hao, who was immersed in struggle and suffering. He seemed to have made up his mind as he spoke in his mind. This. Do you still need to ask? Upon hearing Chen Hao's words, the treasure-hunting sword spirit knew that Chen Hao had already made his decision. However, the question he asked gave the treasure-hunting sword spirit a headache. Cough cough. In the past, I didn't have any experience. I mean, I didn't have any emotions. Now, I don't have any experience at all. Will it be different? This kind of thing. I know, but I'm only an artifact spirit. I can't really understand human emotions. You should just do as you wish. I can't help you. Fuck, who needs your help? Chen Hao gloomily cut off the connection with the treasure-hunting sword spirit. At the same time, he urged his mind to form a mental barrier in his mind. Although these guys weren't humans and didn't understand the true joy of these things between men and women. However, Chen Hao was still unwilling to let this kind of thing be watched by countless pairs of eyes. Taking a deep breath, Chen Hao looked at Tan Tai Lian, who seemed to be sleeping soundly. You can understand, right? Chen Hao muttered to himself. Helian Wuxi's figure appeared in his mind. There was also a figure that was once real but had now become illusory again. Xia Yuyu. It wasn't that there was a problem with Xia Yuyu. In reality, the only one who could truly shake his heart when he sealed himself was Xia Yuyu. Perhaps it was because of the 9 revolutions Heaven-Yang Earth-Yin formula, or perhaps it was because of Xia Yuyu's eyes. In short, it was shaking, and Helian Wuxi and Tan Tai Lian, who really existed beside him, were slowly awakened. Chen Hao didn't think about which was more important. Even if he thought about it, he wouldn't have an answer. Otherwise, he wouldn't have thought of taking things one step at a time. Hiss hiss hiss. On the Jiaxing Peak, the leader of the Jiaxing sect, Yuan Tairan, and 6 elders with powerful auras faced the place where the runes of the 7 stars grotto heaven had appeared. They continuously sent out mysterious hand seals that emitted majestic energy fluctuations. They forcibly forced out a trace of the runes that had disappeared. However, it was only a faint trace. No mysterious aura or teleportation hole appeared. In the middle of the 7 people, a drop of blood essence floated. This drop of blood essence was Yi Wendao's. And they were currently capturing Yi Wendao's aura. Any disciple of a sect would leave behind their birth date and a bottle of blood essence after they entered the sect. At the crucial moment, they could rely on the birth date and blood essence aura to lock onto the disciple's aura in the mysterious long river of life. This was also a remarkable ability that would definitely be used when discovering the entrance to a monument or a mysterious space. The more powerful the monument or space, the higher the requirement for the cultivation of the caster. For a powerful cultivation holy land like the 7 stars grotto heaven, even the leader of the Jiaxing sect couldn't complete it alone. The other 6 elders were the grand elders who were in seclusion in their own grotto heavens. Any one of them had a stronger cultivation than Yuan Tairan. The inner sect elders, outer sect elders, Li Long, and the other 27 disciples all had intense anticipation on their faces as they stared at the 7 people who were casting the spell. Time ticked by. After a full hour, Yuan Tairan and the 6 grand elders gradually frowned. Clearly, they had encountered something that was beyond their expectations. How could this be? After a few more minutes, Yuan Tairan and the 7 Grand Elders finally gave up. They were all puzzled. Yuan Tairan looked at the 6 Grand Elders and asked. Is there a mistake in this disciple's birth date and blood essence? Which peak does he belong to? Grand Elder, Yuan Dao belongs to my peak. I personally calculated his birth characters and extracted his blood essence with my own hands, so there's no way I'm wrong. Could it be, that you can't sense it? Meng Shigang said respectfully. That's strange. The 7 of us are working together, but we can't sense his aura. That's not right. He must have entered the 4th floor if he hasn't come out yet. As long as he's in the 7 stars grotto heaven, he shouldn't be able to escape our senses. It's very strange indeed, another Grand Elder said. Did this Yuan Dao encounter some kind of bloodline inheritance? If his birth date and birth date are correct, it could only be a problem with his blood essence. Unless, he obtained some kind of bloodline inheritance that completely changed his fortune, causing his aura and blood essence to lose its effect. Well. Yuan Dao has acquired the legacy from the Sword Lake ruins and is practicing the Dao of slaughter. Other than that, I'm not too sure. I only know that his luck, talent, battle prowess, and temperament make him a super genius of the star-picking sect that only appears once every 100 years. Oh. The inheritance of the Sword Lake ruins? According to the ancient records, the Sword Lake Palace is extremely powerful. Its Tao of slaughter is also famous in the cultivation world. This kid must be extraordinary to be able to obtain such an inheritance. He's worth nurturing. Not bad indeed. It seems like this kid must have some kind of bloodline inheritance. His future is limitless. The 2 Supreme Elders exclaimed in surprise. Meng Lanang's face was filled with uncontrollable joy and excitement upon hearing this. Alright, let's move on to the next one. We should focus on finding the location of the 4th floor as soon as possible, an old man with a higher status among the 6 Grand Elders said. Wu Zichuan hurriedly took out Chen Hao's and Tan Tai Lian's blood essence and birth characters, and said, these are Chen Hao's and Tan Tai Lian's. Both of them are new disciples, and only Chen Hao has gone out to train once. I think there should be no problem with their blood essence, and Tan Tai Lian's is even more so. Use Tan Tai Lian's. Let's not waste any more energy. This kid Chen Hao is not simple. Yuan Tairan said. When he mentioned Chen Hao, his face flickered with pride. Although it was not obvious, the crowd could feel that Chen Hao's position in his heart was obviously higher than Yuan Dao's. That was indeed the case. Even he still hadn't figured out Chen Hao's strange sword strike until now. Inhale. 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 Chen Hao sat cross-legged in front of Tan Tai Lian. He used his energy to control Tan Tai Lian to sit in front of him. At this moment, Chen Hao, who had always been straightforward and decisive in killing, felt as if his heart was about to jump out of his throat, and he felt as if he couldn't catch his breath. He was actually nervous. He was so nervous that he could not control his emotions. He took deep breaths again and again, but, the more it was like this, the more nervous Chen Hao was. Chapter 234. Those who achieve great things don't care about trifles. I'm a man. What's there to be nervous about? It's not like I haven't done it before. It's such a simple thing. Chen Hao rubbed his hands together and muttered to himself. Although he said it casually, his hands reached for Tan Tai Lian's shoulders, retracted, and rubbed again. He couldn't take the first step. Don't care about trifles, don't care about trifles. This seems to be a little big. I've done it before, but that was me in the past. It was an exchange of interests without emotions. The current me, this, Chen Hao stood up and paced back and forth. Seeing that time was running out, he became more and more anxious. Do it. What am I afraid of? Isn't it just responsibility? Isn't it just that I don't know how to face it? Since I can't be heartless, I have to be responsible. A real man is afraid of everything. What's the point of that? It's unavoidable. I can only face it head on. There's not much time left. When he thought up to this point, even though Chen Hao's face was flushed red like a little boy who had stolen the forbidden fruit for the first time, his heartbeat and breathing were rapid, and his outstretched hands were trembling because he was too excited and nervous, but he still reached for Tan Tai Lian's shoulders unwaveringly. Finally, through the thin Taoist robe, he felt the smoothness of Tan Tai Lian's Taoist robe. His trembling hands were sweating profusely when he undid a button. He wanted to shrink back countless times, but he resisted in the end. There wasn't much time left. In the last 4 hours, if Tan Tai Lian lost her soul, that kind of injury would really be irreparable. The second, the third, perhaps because he had taken the first step, although Chen Hao was getting more and more excited, his movements became more and more nimble. Soon, he took off Tan Tai Lian's Taoist robe. Only her chest and underwear were left. The faint body fragrance stimulated Chen Hao's nose. Her fragrant shoulders, lower abdomen, and jade legs were completely exposed. Her skin was as white as snow. Although Chen Hao had already seen her true appearance, it seemed even more difficult to resist the charm of hugging a pipa and covering half of her face. The primitive desire and impulse completely exploded at this moment. In the endless darkness, there was no consciousness, no thoughts. Everything was silent. Tan Tai Lian's soul floated in the most mysterious soul palace in her mind. His soul power was dissipating bit by bit. The heavily damaged phoenix inheritance had also become 2 phoenix imprints that floated in Tan Tai Lian's mind, which was as still as a dead sea and devoid of ripples. Phew, after an unknown period of time, Tan Tai Lian's mind was suddenly blown by gusts of wind, creating layers of ripples. It was also at this moment that Chen Hao's soul began to violently tremble. This feeling had completely surpassed his imagination. Even though Tan Tai Lian was unconscious, even though there was no response, however, Tan Tai Lian was different from Chen Hao in the past. She was a woman who only wanted to vent her desires and had no emotional foundation. When Chen Hao kissed those soft lips that didn't react at all, and at the same time, slowly and truly came into contact with Tan Tai Lian's flawless, soft, and seemingly boneless body, a wonderful and unprecedented feeling began to grow in Chen Hao's heart. His large hands held those soft and holy twin peaks and slid across the graceful and smooth body. There was the pride, and sense of accomplishment of a man's possessiveness. There was also the responsibility of a man. At the same time, there was an unprecedented pleasure in his body and mind. This feeling was indescribable. Chen Hao only knew that he had done it. He had truly done it. He wasn't as confused, perturbed, or at a loss as he had imagined. Hiss. Although he really wanted to savor the taste of the forbidden fruit for the first time in his life, Chen Hao knew that now wasn't the time. Firstly, Tan Tai Lian was completely unconscious. Secondly, there was less than 2 hours left. He had to awaken Tan Tai Lian's soul first. Therefore, he could only suppress the desire in his heart. After forming the heaven and earth yin-yang bridge between the 2 key parts, he controlled the energy in Tan Tai Lian's body and began to form a big cycle in their bodies. The primitive desire and the gentle throbbing accompanied the cycle of the body's energy. It went from rough to smooth. Chen Hao was immersed in the wonderful feeling and state of mind. He gradually transcended himself. His mind and soul naturally came into contact with Tan Tai Lian's mind and clearly locked onto the most profound and mysterious soul palace. GGA. 2 weak cries sounded amidst the layers of ripples. The heavily injured Feng and Huang finally woke up. Feeling the aura of yin and yang, Feng directly merged into the depths of Chen Hao's soul. Then, Huang, under Feng's guidance, locked onto Tan Tai Lian's soul palace and merged into Tan Tai Lian's unconscious soul. The mysterious power of the phoenix's inheritance of yin and yang began to release a mysterious fluctuation. Boom! The aura of the nirvana flame began to condense on the two naked bodies. The faint flame with a hint of blue was filled with a mysterious and primitive aura. At this moment, Tantai Lian's unconscious soul finally stopped dissipating. However, it still floated in the soul palace and showed no signs of waking up. Time passed second by second. The feeling of spring became stronger and stronger. Although Qianhao put all his attention on the fusion of the two's energy and the big cycle, the pleasure of the origin stone still became stronger and stronger. However, the appearance of the phoenix made Qianhao understand that at this moment, he had to restrain that impulse. Only through the primitive throbbing and the calling of the soul, as well as the power of the phoenix and Huang's inheritance, could he complete the true fusion when Tantai Lian's soul woke up. Doing this would not only awaken Tantai Lian, but also allow the two to complete the true phoenix's inheritance. The fusion of yang and pure yin bloomed. The true balance of yin and yang. Boundless spring. How could this be? While Qianhao was hesitating and struggling to make a choice, on star-picking peak, Yuan Tairan and the 6 grand elders were trying to capture Tantai Lian's aura again. Their faces were pale, and their energy was almost exhausted. They failed again. They thought that they would succeed this time. However, they still could not lock onto Tantai Lian's aura. Tantai Lian's bloodline did not change after she obtained the phoenix's inheritance. Even if there was a change, the essence blood we obtained was after she obtained the phoenix's inheritance. She has been in the star-picking sect all this time without any encounters. This shouldn't be. Is it because our cultivation is not enough? We can't really penetrate the space where the 7-star grotto heaven is. Yuan Tairan said with a frown after swallowing a true essence pill and regaining some color on his face. Impossible. Although the 7-star grotto heaven is powerful, it is inextricably linked to our star-picking sect. Since they obtained the opportunity to enter the 4th level, they should have been captured by us. Moreover, even without this connection, what level can the 7-star grotto heaven be? Grade 8 or Grade 9 ruins? That's obviously not possible. With the 7 of us working together, even if 3 of them are in Grade 9 ruins, we can still lock onto them. A Grand Elder said. What do we do now? Yuan Dao might have a problem with his bloodline. However, Tantai Lian definitely has no problem, but we still can't lock onto her. Could it be, that the 7-star grotto heaven is not what we think it is? Yuan Tairan said. What do you mean? The 7th level is just our guess. Everyone entering a separate space is only the first 3 levels. Ever since the appearance of the 7-star grotto heaven and its 1,000-year legacy, none of us have gone beyond the 3rd level. Yuan Tairan frowned deeply. As the sect master, he naturally had wisdom that surpassed ordinary people. Vaguely, he already had a bad feeling. After a slight pause, he continued, if the 3 of them entered the same space, with Yuan Dao's temperament of cultivating the Dao of massacre, hearing Yuan Tairan's words, the 6 grand elders only frowned slightly. They had been in seclusion for a long time and did not know much about the newcomers in the sect, especially the outer sect disciples. However, the inner and outer sect elders, especially Meng Sigang and Wu Zichuan, had a slight change in expression. Sect leader, do you mean, that they will attack? The inner sect elder frowned and said. After a slight pause, he continued, it's very possible. Yuan Dao and Qianhao are competitors. Tantai Lian and Qianhao are Dao companions. Now that we can't lock onto Tantai Lian's aura, the biggest possibility is, that she has died. This can't be done by Qianhao. It can only be Yuan Dao. Yuan Dao's aura can't be locked onto either. Could it be, that Qianhao killed Yuan Dao again? Impossible. Meng Sigang immediately said, Yuan Dao was originally half a step into the Golden Core realm. After entering the 7-star grotto heaven, he must have stepped into the Golden Core realm in an extremely short period of time. Once his massacre sword Dao entered the 2nd realm, it would be 9 swords combined into one. In the same realm, even Chen Hao, who has decent combat strength, would not be a match for him. How could he be killed by Chen Hao? I don't know how strong Chen Hao is exactly. However, if his massacre sword Dao could reach the second realm, it would be difficult for him to find a match in the same realm. Unless Chen Hao has an even stronger inheritance than Yuan Dao. A Grand Supreme Elder said. There's no point in saying more. There's no point in guessing. Let's begin to capture Chen Hao's aura later. If we can't capture it, we can only wait for them to come out. If we can capture it, then what the imparting elder said might be true. Let's make things clear first. No matter who lives or dies, admit it. Yuan Tairan said in a low voice. The massacre sword Dao was indeed terrifying, but Yuan Tairan agreed with the Grand Supreme Elder's speculation. As long as they could sense Chen Hao's aura, they could be sure that Tan Tai Lien had died. As for Yuan Dao, there was an 80% chance that he had died. The remaining 20% chance of survival was due to the change in his bloodline. If that was the case, then he would definitely not be able to sense Chen Hao's aura. This was because Chen Hao might have died like Tan Tai Lien. However, this possibility was very small. This was because Yuan Tairan was confident in Chen Hao's sword. 4 hours later, Chen Hao's 8 horoscope and his blood essence floated among the 7 of them. It took less than an hour for a dazzling light to rise up from Chen Hao's blood essence. Chapter 235. Condense. Lock. At this moment, Yuan Tairan and the various supreme elders suddenly shouted, each of their faces brimming with intense joy. Especially Yuan Tairan. They had succeeded. They had successfully locked onto Chen Hao's aura and confirmed the location of the 4th level. As long as the 7 stars grotto heaven opened next year, they would be able to open the 1st to 4th levels. What did this mean? It meant that the 7 stars grotto heaven of the Jiaxing sect would not only be a sacred cultivation ground for disciples below the Khanate realm, but also for Golden Core realm disciples. It was only a step forward, but the impact on the Jiaxing sect was extremely huge. After entering the Golden Core realm, even those who could be considered true cultivators would start to be restricted by the heavenly Tao. Their cultivation speed would be like rowing a boat against the current. It was extremely difficult. Especially when breaking through to the next level, they would have to endure the heavenly punishment. How many cultivators had stopped at the Golden Core realm? And how many cultivators had died under the heavenly punishment? When the higher levels of the 7 stars grotto heaven opened, even if only 1 Golden Core realm cultivator could enter each year, it was already a big deal, let alone 10. This was a completely different concept from those below the Khanate realm. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. Ah! Boom! A sharp, loud, frightened, angry, and desperate cry suddenly erupted amidst the raging nirvana flames and Chen Hao's charge. Boundless, vigorous, and terrifying energy was directly extracted from Chen Hao's body. At the same time, Chen Hao, who was a gentleman with no balls, flew high into the air like a kite with its string cut. He was pleasantly surprised that Tan Tai Lien had woken up, but he was also extremely depressed. He had not really vented it out yet. It was a critical moment, but Tan Tai Lien had woken up. Amidst Chen Hao's primal charge, the mysterious power of the phoenix's inheritance, and the process of yin and yang blending, she had woken up. The moment she woke up, Tan Tai Lien only knew that her body was being possessed, pressed down, and, at this moment, Tan Tai Lien felt like her head was about to explode. She did not hear the phoenix's voice, nor did she feel Chen Hao's love. Her only thought was what Yuan Dao had tried to do to her before she fell unconscious. Therefore, she did not hesitate to leave the great circulation state of yin and yang and directly attacked. She attacked with despair, fear, and anger. Little bird, tell Huang and little Lien that I'll die once too. I'll leave it to you. At the moment when Chen Hao was sent flying, he thought quickly and conveyed his order to Phoenix. The gun was already loaded, and the bullets were already on the barrel. How could they not fire? Besides, it had already come to this point. Even a god would not be able to hold himself back. Even the powerful existence in Chen Hao's mind and the probing sword spirit had not thought of such a situation. Of course, out of their human habits and their respect for Chen Hao, they did not observe. Otherwise, his eyeballs would definitely fall to the ground. In fact, although the two of them had already begun the fusion of yin and yang and had formed a great cycle of energy in their bodies, they had yet to complete the final step. In other words, Chen Hao still maintained his primordial young body. What was broken was only his heart. On the other hand, Tan Tai Lien was the opposite. What was broken was only her body. The pure yin hidden in the depths of her heart was still intact. If there was a word to describe the situation between the two of them, it would be half-step fusion. Ah, Tan Tai Lien looked at the naked figure that was rolling away and was suddenly dumbfounded. She screamed again. It was only at this moment that Tan Tai Lien regained a bit of consciousness and heard Huang's voice. It's over, it's over. Chen Hao was harmed by you. Little Lien, he did it to save you. It's over, Huang. What? What's going on? Tan Tai Lien did not care that she was still naked and rushed to Chen Hao in a panic. Her beautiful little face was filled with horror as she asked in her mind. Sigh. You were already dead. Chen Hao used the fusion of yin and yang to let his soul out of his body and enter your mind to wake you up. But now. It's over, it's over. Huang's childish voice was filled with anxiety. No matter what, she was a divine beast that had existed for countless years. Her acting skills were definitely top-notch. Tan Tai Lien did not need Chen Hao to teach her what to say and what to do. She could naturally make Tan Tai Lien do what she wanted. What should I do? What should I do? Tan Tai Lien did not have time to be ashamed and asked in horror. What are you hesitating for? His soul is still in your mind. You must immediately start dual cultivation with him. Only then can his soul return to his body. Any later and his body will lose its vitality. Hurry. Ah. Tan Tai Lien's face was red. Why are you still embarrassed? You have already done what you should have done. If you had not been too agitated when you woke up and did not listen to us, you would have been fine by now. Hurry. I. What should I do? This. Huang was a little dumbfounded when she heard Tan Tai Lien's words. When they were doing it just now, it was obvious that Tan Tai Lien did not have the slightest consciousness. And now Chen Hao was acting like a dead pig. What should she do? After pondering for a moment, Huang said a little hesitantly, as long as you connect the upper and lower heaven and earth bridges and start the energy fusion, it will form a big cycle in both of your bodies. What are the upper and lower heaven and earth bridges? Cough cough. Mouth to mouth, two tongues against each other, it is a bridge. Below. You should know. Huang said a little awkwardly for Tan Tai Lien. At the same time, she sent a voice transmission, Huang Feng, this is not good, right? Can't we let Chen Hao take the initiative? Xiaoyan is a girl after all. How shy will she be? Just say that Chen Hao can't do it. If he doesn't come, it will be over. Cough cough, this is what Chen Hao said. At least, she has to complete the first step. Otherwise, it won't make sense, oh. Huang responded and directly urged in Tan Tai Lien's mind, hurry, Xiaoyan. If you hesitate, it will be too late. Do you want him to die? Ah, Tan Tai Lien's beautiful little face was like the sunset, completely red. Her heart was beating like a little deer. She felt as if she was in a dream, as if it was unreal. She looked at the naked and unconscious Chen Hao with incomparable shame. Suddenly, she thought of something and her face instantly turned pale. Huang. You said. I was already dead. Then did Yi Wendao? Tan Tai Lien asked in a trembling voice in her mind. What are you thinking about? Chen Hao came just in time. In the instant that you were unconscious, he killed Chen Hao. Don't worry, you only belong to Chen Hao. You completely belong to Chen Hao. Really? Tan Tai Lien asked in disbelief. It's absolutely true. If you hesitate any longer, Chen Hao will be finished. Hurry up and start. Ah. Okay, I'll start. I'll start. Tan Tai Lien's face was like the ever-changing weather, becoming completely red once again. But she firmly, quickly, and without any hesitation, leaned towards Chen Hao. A strand of sparkling tears, unknown whether it was happiness, sadness, or something else, escaped from her eyes. She stared at Chen Hao's handsome and extraordinary face, getting closer and closer. Her delicate lips lightly trembled, and she held her breath. She was extremely nervous as she pressed her lips onto Chen Hao's lips, mouth to mouth, two tongues against each other. Tan Tai Lien thought to herself bashfully in her heart, and closed her eyes. Chen Hao felt Tan Tai Lien's smooth and sweet tongue, and clumsily pushed open his lips, wanting to separate his teeth. Chen Hao originally wanted to continue making things difficult for her, but this wonderful feeling made him unable to restrain himself. Ah! Woo! Suddenly, Tan Tai Lien let out a cry of surprise, and was immediately blocked by Chen Hao. At the same time, Tan Tai Lien, who was originally occupying the upper position, was flipped down by a strong force, lingering without end, making love on a mountain of magi. Ga ga. After an unknown period of time, the phoenix broke out of their bodies, and circled above the two in battle. The nirvana flame burned fiercely, and gradually condensed into a huge phoenix nirvana seal. At the same time, when Chen Hao let out a low beastly roar, and Tan Tai Lien couldn't control herself and let out a sound that made her feel ashamed, two illusory figures appeared in the air, and merged into the phoenix seal. The true fusion of yin and yang, the fusion of the soul and the body, it was finally completed. Boom boom. Thunderous booms exploded from the depths of their souls. There was no restriction of the Tao companion contract, no barrier of the soul, there was only the true fusion of the soul and the body, lingering without end. Traces of mysterious aura naturally started to circulate around the two, and grew in the depths of their souls. 7 Stars Paradise, the 7 stars, at this moment, shone with incomparably bright light, and enveloped the two. Dense heaven and earth energy was like a myriad of streams flowing into the sea, and at a speed 10 times faster than when the two were cultivating alone, it surged into their bodies. Within their dantian, the golden core that had just been formed not long ago became more and more solid, and more resplendent. The surging energy was like a great river, and in the great circulation system formed by the two, it surged without end and flowed without end. Respectfully sending off the Grand Elders. On the star-picking peak, the Grand Elders that had completed their missions, one by one, turned into nothingness, and disappeared before everyone's eyes as Yuan Tairan and the other elders cupped their fists and bowed. Li Long, and the other disciples that have advanced to the Golden Core realm, report to the inner sect. The other disciples can also disperse. Yuan Tairan looked at Li Long and the other disciples and said. Understood. Once everyone left, Yuan Tairan looked at Meng Langang and Wu Zichuan, and said, Yuan Dao, Chen Hao, and Tan Tai Lien's situation should be very close to what we predicted. Tan Tai Lien should have already died. We can't be sure about Yuan Dao, but what we can be sure of is that if Chen Hao and Yuan Dao come out at the same time, they will fight to the death, and no one will be able to mediate. The two of you cannot add fuel to the fire, and neither of you is allowed to attack in secret, or else you will be punished according to the sect rules. Yes, sect master. Elderly, according to the standards of a core disciple, choose a mountain and start preparing, yes. Sect master, only choose one mountain. What if Yuan Dao also? Elderly replied with a frown. Elderly was the inner sect elder in charge of the welfare of the star-picking sect. Today, I've completed 2 chapters. Tomorrow, it will explode. I'm sure of the 3rd chapter, but I don't dare to say the 4th chapter, and it's also possible for the 5th. Writing requires passion and stimulation. I really need everyone's support. If I can't feel the passion of my brothers and sisters, it will be very difficult for me to get excited in Dark Mountain. Can you give me some stimulation, some passion? If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come and vote for me. Chapter 236. Prepare 1. If both of them come out, the winner will be the winner. Yuan Tairan didn't leave any room for negotiation. However, he knew that the probability of both of them coming out at the same time was very low. Even if they could come out at the same time, they would have to fight to the death. This was because Tan Tai Lien was definitely dead. How could Chen Hao possibly leave the matter at that? Even though he really wanted genius disciples like Yi Wendao and Chen Hao to exist at the same time. However, Tan Tai Lien's death made that possibility impossible. Even he couldn't stop such a thing. Whoosh! Huaxing City was the closest city to the star-picking sect. A black-clothed figure wearing a bamboo hat landed outside the city gate as fast as lightning. After paying the entrance fee of a level 8 spirit pill, he quickly entered the city. According to his identity, he only needed to show his token and he would be exempted from the entrance fee. But he didn't do that. This black-clothed figure wearing a bamboo hat went straight to the branch of the Wantong Chamber of Commerce located in the transforming Star City. Mission 7024. Please. After the black-clothed and bamboo hat man arrived at the mission submission area, he spoke in a fake voice. At the same time, he flashed his mission card and followed a messenger in. The target didn't come out of the 7 Stars Grotto Heaven. According to the speculations of the sect master and elders, he should have opened the 4th level of the 7 Stars Grotto Heaven and advanced to the Golden Core realm. Oh. Had the 4th level of the 7 Stars Grotto Heaven opened? Are you sure? I'm sure. The 7 Stars Grotto Heaven would be closed for 3 months. But now, March had passed. 3 of them didn't come out. I obtained this information from the disciples who entered the 7 Stars Grotto Heaven. Other than the target, who else is there? This isn't part of the mission, is it? Ha! Our Wantong Chamber of Commerce has always been fair. Any information will have a corresponding value with you. It's just that the news will spread sooner or later. If we spread it earlier, we'll be able to exchange it for enough rewards. What do you think? The black-clothed man fell silent for a moment before he said, besides the target, there's also his Dao companion, Tan Tai Lien, and Yi Wendao. However, Tan Tai Lien should have been killed by Yi Wendao. There was a high chance that Yi Wendao would die at the hands of the target. This was the conclusion that the sect master and Grand Supreme Elder came to after capturing the 3 people's auras. As for when he would be able to come out of the 7 Stars Grotto Heaven, he could not be sure for now. The sect master and the others don't know much about the situation on the 4th floor either. We can only wait. Phew. Impressive, the old man exhaled and said. Although the man in black didn't explain, the old man was able to understand the whole story from his words. Inwardly, he was quite surprised by his target's rapid growth and combat strength. This was not much inferior to some of the genius disciples of the high-ranking sections. Before the target comes out, I won't report to you. All right. This is the reward for this trip. The black bamboo hat man took the unexpected revenge with satisfaction and quickly disappeared from the Wantong Chamber of Commerce. After walking out of the Huaxing City, he flew for thousands of miles towards the desolate mountain range. After making sure that no one was following him, he put on the star-picking robe of the Picking Stars sect's disciple and took off his bamboo hat. This person was none other than an outer disciple of the Starsizer sect, Kai Jin. And the mission he accepted was to report Chen Hao's every move at all times. As for who had paid such a high price to post the mission in the Wantong Chamber of Commerce, he could guess that it was Fan Fong of the 6th grade sect, the Sword Sect. Die. Boom. A demonic beast at the peak of the late-stage Golden Elixir realm, whose body was like a small mountain, was crushed into meat paste by a true essence giant hand. After killing the demon beast, the youth quickly took out a black token that emitted fluctuations. Is he out? The youth's face flashed with intense killing intent as his consciousness entered the token. What? The 4th level of the 7-star Grotto Heaven? The Golden Core Realm? A trace of shock flashed in the youth's cold eyes. Humph. That's better. Now that you've entered the Golden Core Realm, I'd like to see if you'll still hide in the Picking Stars sect. I've missed my chance once, but I won't let you escape this time. This youth was none other than Fan Fong. At this moment, he was cultivating deep in the mountains that were relatively close to the Picking Stars sect so that he could arrive in time after receiving the news. It's been 4 months, the night sky was clear and silent. Sitting cross-legged, Tan Tai Lien slowly opened her eyes and murmured as a powerful aura emanated from her body. I've already reached the peak of the mid-stage Golden Core Realm. I wonder how he's doing. Tan Tai Lien looked into the distance and bit her lip. Although she felt embarrassed, she still flew quickly in the direction of Chen Hao. In these 4 months, Chen Hao had not come to see her even once. It was fine when he was immersed in cultivation, but when he woke up, Tan Tai Lien felt wronged and even uneasy. After experiencing the true fusion of yin and yang, she was already his Dao partner. Was she not attractive to him at all? Under the starlight, energy surged. Chen Hao's clothes fluttered and his figure drifted. Sometimes it was like moving clouds and flowing water, sometimes it was erratic. He did not have a sword in his hand, but when he pointed a finger, sword chi surged. His body and mind seemed to be completely immersed in cultivation. Tan Tai Lien silently appeared a few hundred feet away from Chen Hao, not daring to come any closer. She stared blankly at Chen Hao. The aura of a peak early-stage Golden Core Realm cultivator. But the power he displayed made Tan Tai Lien's heart palpitate. Not to mention that she could not lock onto his figure, she could feel a dangerous aura from any of Chen Hao's fingers. Gradually, Tan Tai Lien, who was observing carefully, suddenly realized that Chen Hao's figure had slowed down. At this moment, she suddenly realized that Chen Hao's figure was not completely untraceable. Instead, he was stepping on 7 points in a very regular pattern. 7 points. Tan Tai Lien suddenly looked up at the void and at the 7 stars. Surprisingly, Chen Hao's trajectory was exactly the same as the structure of the 7 stars. You came just in time. Little Lien, come here. Just as Tan Tai Lien was in a daze, Chen Hao waved his hand and sent out a beam of energy. It instantly swept out a few hundred feet and enveloped Tan Tai Lien. Hiss. Tan Tai Lien did not know what was going on, but she followed Chen Hao's energy and came to his side at lightning speed. Lend me your energy. Use all your strength. Chen Hao did not explain and directly held Tan Tai Lien's soft hand. Their fingers interlocked and their palms faced each other. Boom! With the fusion of yin and yang, Chen Hao was very clear about Tan Tai Lien's energy. With a thought, with Tan Tai Lien's active cooperation, her energy immediately surged into Chen Hao's body. Whoosh! At this moment, Chen Hao's speed suddenly increased countless times. He turned into a series of afterimages and stepped on the positions of the 7 stars. The aura around him became stronger and stronger as his speed soared. 7-star sword finger. Chen Hao poked the sky with his finger. Hiss. The sharp wind seemed to have pierced through the shackles of space and the endless darkness. With a speed that could pierce through heaven and earth, it rushed towards the stars hanging high in the void. At this moment, Tan Tai Lien felt that her energy had been sucked dry by Chen Hao. She was so weak that she felt dizzy. However, her eyes were filled with extreme shock. She looked at the finger that was about to pierce through the heavens and exuded an extremely sharp and mysterious aura. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook. Within a radius of 1,000 feet, endless energy crazily gathered towards the sword finger that Chen Hao had sent out. It borrowed the power of heaven and earth to perform thousands of supernatural powers. The sword finger that seemed to be tearing through the void did not weaken at all as it rushed towards the stars. Instead, it emitted more and more resplendent and condensed light. Moreover, it was expanding at an astonishing speed. From a small finger to a huge finger that was as big as a mountain, it was still growing crazily. Break for me. After several tens of seconds had passed, Chen Hao let out a cold shout. He withdrew and released, causing the terrifying sword fingers to explode from an unknown distance away. Rumble. It was like divine lightning from the 9 heavens had exploded in the pitch-black night sky. At the same time, the 7 stars that were so far away that they couldn't reach suddenly emitted an incomparably bright light. Immediately, it condensed into a pillar of light that was like the Milky Way of the 9 heavens. It poured down and covered Chen Hao and Tan Tai Lien. Chen Hao, who was paler and weaker than Tan Tai Lien, smiled with excitement. He held Tan Tai Lien's slender waist tightly with one hand. Hiss. Tan Tai Lien felt that the space was distorted. When she regained her vision, she and Chen Hao had already appeared in a huge palace. What is this place? At this moment, Tan Tai Lien looked at Chen Hao, who was holding her waist, and asked in shock. 7 Stars Palace. Fortunately, you came in time, otherwise, it would have been ruined. For months of time, can you really endure it? Chen Hao smiled faintly with a trace of evil charm as he stared at Tan Tai Lien and spoke as if he was implying something. Even you can hold it in, why can't I? Tan Tai Lien opened her mouth and said. However, as soon as she finished speaking, her face suddenly turned red. She said, what are you talking about, rogue? Okay. There is not much time. There is only 1 day. We have to search quickly. Chen Hao did not continue this topic. He, who had tasted the forbidden fruit for the first time, had already taken the first step. Of course, he would not refuse the speed of cultivation brought by dual cultivation. However, in these 4 months, he had no time to spare. After completing the first fusion with Tan Tai Lien, the two of them comprehended and cultivated separately. However, he was naturally in a magical formation under the starlight. He also obtained the information in it. The 7 stars alignment formation. Only by comprehending the first level of the 7 stars sword finger, could he leave the formation. If he could use the 7 stars sword finger to break the formation, he would be able to connect the 7 stars, break the shackles of the 7 stars, and step into the core treasury of the 7 stars cave heaven. The 7 stars alignment formation was more complicated than Chen Hao had imagined. Chen Hao tried to break it by breaking the formation, but he could not do it at all. In the past 4 months, when Tan Tai Lien arrived, he had only just comprehended the 7-star sword finger and was able to walk out of the formation. When he was about to find Tan Tai Lien could not hold it in and came to find him. Is this the inheritance of the 7 stars cave heaven? Tan Tai Lien asked. It is the treasury. The 7 stars cave heaven has a subtle connection with the thousands of mountains of the Zhaixing sect. It is just a forbidden place for cultivation, not an inheritance site. I think it was condensed by an ancient powerful person. There should be a lot of good things in this palace. Chen Hao was explaining when suddenly, a mysterious aura exploded in the palace without warning and shrouded the two of them. First update. Monthly ticket, recommendation ticket, subscription. Thank you. Chapter 237. At the same time, 2 mysterious messages appeared in the minds of Chen Hao and Tan Tai Lien at the same time. 2 bright starlights separated them and shrouded them. A test? What a magical light! Chen Hao was surprised. Before he could think further, the scene in front of him changed. What rich and pure energy! No, it's true essence, pure true essence. In 2 separate spaces, Chen Hao and Tan Tai Lien were shocked. Originally, the energy in the 7 stars grotto heaven was already incredibly dense and pure. But now, under the bright starlight, the 2 of them who couldn't even see clearly felt that the entire space was filled with quintessential essence that could be absorbed without spending much effort to refine it. However, Chen Hao and Tan Tai Lien did not start cultivating. The information they received was that they had entered the test of the 7 stars cave. There shouldn't be any danger. Since it's a test, I'll determine what I can get based on the results. It's the same for Xiaolian. Chen Hao thought to himself. His eyes were shining, but he could not see an inch in front of him. He could only see the bright starlight. Dubhe formation? It's not difficult for me. It's really similar to the Taoist 7 stars sword formation. Chen Hao thought to himself. Before entering the 7 stars cave heaven, Chen Hao had encountered the 7 stars alignment formation. He was sure that the 7 stars cave heaven was similar to the Taoist 7 stars sword formation recorded in the Taoist secret essentials. If not, Chen Hao would not have been able to comprehend the 7 stars sword finger in just 4 months. He would not have had the chance to come here. Taking a deep breath, Chen Hao sat cross-legged and immersed himself in comprehension. After an entire 2 hours, Chen Hao's eyes flickered with a bright light as he pointed out with his finger. Hiss! A strange wave came. The vigorous and sharp sword finger merged into a round crystal that Chen Hao could not see but could sense. At the same time, the air that was completely composed of true essence began to shake violently. The bright starlight in the entire space suddenly dimmed, as if it had gathered together. As Chen Hao recovered his vision, a figure composed entirely of starlight appeared in front of him. This figure held a sword in his hand. His figure was tall and straight, and his entire body was golden like the color of the stars. His eyes were shining with incomparably sharp sword intent. He didn't give Chen Hao any time to think and slashed his sword at Chen Hao. Late-stage golden core realm strength. Chen Hao's sharp soul perception spread out. He wasn't alarmed, but rather delighted. After stepping into the golden core realm, he was no different from before the congenital realm. His monstrous and abnormal physique caused his advancement to still be many times more difficult than others. In the past 4 months, although he had been immersed in the 7-star alignment and comprehended the 7-star finger sword, it was also cultivation. Moreover, he had been constantly refining his golden core. However, he had barely reached the peak of the early-stage golden core realm. Compared to Tan Tai Lien, who had reached the peak of the middle-stage golden core realm, there was a huge gap. However, the reason why he was pleasantly surprised was that Chen Hao had learned from the information that the energy figure that appeared at this moment was completely based on his combat strength. This meant that he had the combat strength of a late-stage golden core realm expert. Breaking the Dubhe star of the 7 stars, which was also the Dubhe formation, was not difficult for Chen Hao. He had done it in 2 hours. However, to truly break it, he had to defeat the figure in front of him. This was a trial and a test. He had to kill this figure in order to enter the next level. Clang! The 5 elements sword suddenly came out of its sheath. Chen Hao brazenly faced the terrifying sword light. A quarter of an hour later, Chen Hao's solitary sword incantation cut off the head of the star-colored energy man with no special moves. The Dubhe formation was broken. Starlight appeared again. The surrounding space fluctuated, and the pattern had obviously changed. Chen Hao knew that the second formation, the Tianxian formation, had been activated. Tan Tai Lien, who was in another independent space, was not as relaxed as Chen Hao. When Chen Hao entered the Tianxian formation, she was still sitting cross-legged in the Dubhe formation, sending out streams of stored energy to sense the mystery of the Dubhe formation. Unfortunately, in such a short time, she could not make any progress at all. Similarly, in less than 2 hours, Chen Hao once again comprehended the mystery of the Merak formation. But this time, there were 2 golden energy men in the same realm, both at the late stage of the gold elixir realm. But the attacks launched by the 2 complemented each other, containing the mystery of the Dubhe formation and the Merak formation respectively. Moreover, the attacks launched by the 2 were a combination attack, which multiplied their combat capability several times. Within 3 moves, Chen Hao was seriously injured, and the 2 golden energy figures disappeared directly. Chen Hao returned to the Tianxian formation again. Obviously, he had failed the test this time. This is only the 2nd formation, and it's already so powerful. It seems that it will take me a long time to break through the 7th formation, Chen Hao thought to himself in shock. This failure was not a real failure. There was no real failure in this test. It would only be considered a real failure if one died of old age here. Even if the next time the 7 stars grotto heaven opened, one would not be ejected before passing through the 7th formation. This was the information he had obtained after entering the 7 stars hall. If he had known this, Chen Hao would not have foolishly carried Tan Tai Lian in. He wasn't worried about himself because he was confident that he would succeed. He had the Taoist 7 stars formation as a reference. Moreover, he was extremely intelligent and definitely not someone Tan Tai Lian could compare to. Chen Hao was quite confident about this. It was also because of this that he could successfully comprehend the mysteries of the formation. The time he saved was not small. But what about Tan Tai Lian? However, it was useless to worry now. Such a mysterious and magical space was not something that Chen Hao could forcefully break through. If Tan Tai Lian wanted to walk out, she could only rely on herself. This was an opportunity for her, and also a challenge. After taking a deep breath, Chen Hao was not in a hurry to activate the life gate of the formation again to activate the golden energy figures. Instead, he immersed himself in cultivation and comprehension. The 3 moves that the 2 golden energy figures had made just now were clearly replaying in slow motion in Chen Hao's mind. 4 hours later, he challenged again. 6 moves, Chen Hao was defeated. 8 hours later, 12 moves, Chen Hao was defeated. 3 days later, 100 moves, Chen Hao was defeated. As the number of moves increased, Chen Hao found the feeling of fighting to his heart's content. Moreover, he was defeated with serious injuries every time, and it was not fatal. Obviously, this was the bottom line of the test. It would not take one's life. There was no doubt that this was the best cultivation environment for Chen Hao. The only drawback was that there was a lack of variation. This was because the 2 golden men's attacks always started at the same time. Even the order of their moves was not messed up. However, Chen Hao had to fall into their rhythm every time. 5 days later, the 2 golden energy figures tumbled to the ground under Chen Hao's sharp sword light. Chen Hao finally passed the Merak formation and stepped into the 3rd Tianji formation. There were 3 golden energy figures, and each of them was still at the late-stage golden core realm. However, the integration of the 3 Tianji formation made the combined attack of the 3 golden energy figures even more terrifying and perfect. For the first time, Chen Hao was defeated with just 1 move. Chen Hao's arrogant and persistent character had completely fused into this sort of extremely challenging tempering of battle. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Jiaxing Peak, where the 7-star grotto heaven runes appeared. During this month, there was always an inner sect elder standing guard. Today, the Jiaxing sect master, Yuan Tairan, and all the inner and outer sect elders gathered again. Only Wu Zichuan was not present. This was because the biennial 100 Empire ranking was already in the preparation stage. This time, the Jiaxing sect had tasted the sweetness of the 100 Empire ranking and brought luck. Naturally, the Jiaxing sect would take action again. He had already brought several inner sect disciples and rushed to the Myriad Treasures Chamber of Commerce to discuss. If the fourth level appeared as they had speculated, then Chen Hao would come out in a month's time. However, Yuan Tairan and the others waited for an entire day, but there was no movement. However, they were not disappointed. Instead, they were looking forward to it. The longer they waited, the greater the benefits. This was obvious. Who would not be happy? The only one who was ambiguous was Meng Langang. This was because he knew that Yi Wendao's chances of survival were not high. The second month, the third month, the fourth month, how could this be? On Jiaxing Peak, Yuan Tairan and the 6 Grand Elders frowned and gave up on sensing. No one had expected such an outcome. In the second month, they were still able to maintain their composure and were pleasantly surprised. In the third month, they were still able to maintain their composure but began to worry. In the fourth month, when the 7-star grotto heaven was about to open again in a month's time, Yuan Tairan and the others could no longer remain calm. This was because the 7-star grotto heaven would open again in a month's time. What did this mean? According to the rules of all historical legacies and special spaces, opening again meant a new cycle. If the person who entered last time did not come out, there was only one possibility: death. Left with no choice, Yuan Tairan and the other elders could only invite the 6 Grand Elders to come out and sense Chen Hao's aura once again. However, what shocked everyone was that they could not sense Chen Hao's aura this time. A month later, the 7-star grotto heaven opened again. Although they could no longer sense Chen Hao's aura on the 4th level, they had successfully locked onto him last time, allowing the 4th level of the 7-star grotto heaven to open. The 30 disciples below the Khanate realm were still determined according to the previous arena battles. Yang Fan, Li Yifeng, and Ni Jianping were among the low-level disciples. However, the 3 of them did not look excited. Instead, they were frowning. The news had spread that Chen Hao and Tan Tai Lien might have died in the 7-star grotto heaven. The disciples who were selected to enter the 4th level were all at the peak of the late-stage Golden Core realm, but they were not the top 10 inner sect disciples. Instead, they were the young disciples who had the absolute advantage in terms of talent, comprehension, and combat strength. They were also the super geniuses who had the highest chance of successfully advancing to the nascent soul realm and becoming a core disciple. After the first 3 levels of disciples entered the 7-star grotto heaven, the 4th level opened. 10 disciples stepped into the rune with solemn expressions. Remember, no one is allowed to kill each other. Come out alive. If one of you dies, even if you come out, you will all be killed without mercy. Remember, all of you. P.S. I'm scratching my head. I'm stuck. I've been holding back since last night and have only published 2 chapters, before 12 o'clock. I'll definitely finish 3 chapters. Fortunately, I didn't make a promise yesterday. Otherwise, I would have broken my promise. I didn't dare to make a promise because I'm afraid of encountering a situation where I'm stuck. Chapter 238. Yuan Tairan had no choice but to set this rule. The deaths of Chen Hao, Tan Tai Lien, and Yi Wendao made his heart bleed. The only thing worth celebrating was that the 4th level was finally opened. However, they knew nothing about the so-called 4th level. They could only wait for the new disciples to come out before they could know the details. Did they all die because of killing each other, or was there something else going on in the 4th level? Kai Jin's mission from the Myriad Channel's Chamber of Commerce came to an end. He did not receive the highest reward, but Kai Jin was very excited. Chen Hao's death made him excited. Without Chen Hao, he could have entered the 7-star grotto heaven last year. However, Chen Hao made him fail at the last step. He could not even recover the loss of suppressing his cultivation base for half a year. After confirming that Chen Hao had died in the 7-star grotto heaven, how could he not be happy? As for Fan Fong, who had painstakingly cultivated in the mountains not far from the star-picking sect, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. The two people he hated the most had died in the seven-star grotto heaven. What could he do? What a dense heaven and earth spirit chi. It's not true essence. True essence. 7-star. It's actually 7 stars. What's going on? 7 months, there's actually 7 months. That's great. After the 10 inner sect disciples stepped into the 7-star grotto heaven, they were immediately filled with shock and joy. No one expected the 7-star grotto heaven to be so powerful. They also did not expect that it was not the so-called 1 star, but 7 stars. They also did not expect that the information they received in an instant was that they could stay in there for a full 7 months. This was a full 4 months longer than the first level to the third level. Chen Jun, is that you? It's me. Zhao Chen. Yes. It's true. It seems that the 10 of us are really in the same space. No wonder Chen Hao, Yi Wendao, and Tan Tai Lien died here. They must have killed each other. Phew. Fortunately, the sect leader set the rules. Otherwise, I'll be in danger. Chen Jun said. Among the 10 people who came in this time, Mo Xiaozong, who was the strongest, was his enemy. In the past, their strength was on par, but this time, Mo Xiaozong, who returned from the 7 stars cave heaven, had obtained some kind of opportunity in advance to the late-stage gold core realm. He was definitely not someone he could compete with. There was no doubt that if it weren't for Yuan Tyran's rule, he would have died here. Hurry up and cultivate. In 7 months, with such pure quintessential essence, it is possible for you to step into the late golden core stage. At best, he could only raise his cultivation to the peak of the late-stage golden core realm. Even if he couldn't win in a fight, he wouldn't have to be afraid of him outside. He won't dare to kill you here, or we'll all die. The sect master has always been a man of his word. He would never just threaten you. Yes. We put some distance between us. Let's begin. 3 months later. 30 outer sect disciples were ejected from the 7 stars grotto heaven one after another. With their improvements, Yuan Tyran and company finally revealed a smile. Their gains were even greater than Chen Hao's batch of disciples last year. Although the new geniuses were still inferior to Chen Hao and Yuan Dao, they were beginning to stand out, which comforted everyone. Although the cultivation of these disciples was like an ant in front of them, they symbolized the future of the sect and had to be taken seriously. However, none of the 10 inner sect disciples who entered the 4th level came out. It had to be said that the unknown was terrifying. Now, everyone was most worried that the 10 inner sect disciples would end up like Chen Hao and the other 2. Then, the 4th level would no longer be a holy land for cultivation, but a land of death. They didn't come out for the 4th month, and still didn't come out for the 5th month. At this time, Yuan Tyran and company could no longer sit still. Once again, they asked the Grand Elder to check on the 10 inner sect disciples. To everyone's relief, the auras of the 10 inner sect disciples could be captured and easily locked onto. As for when they would come out, it was impossible for everyone to wait here. 1 year and 6.5 months. Excluding the 3 months spent on the 3rd level and the 4 months spent in the 7 stars alignment, Chen Hao had stayed in the 7 stars hall for a total of 11 months and 15 days. Chen Hao had passed the Dubhe, Merak, Fekta, Migres, Alioth, and Mizar arrays. Only the last array, the Alcade array, was left. He had stayed in the Alcade array for a total of 6 months. He had already comprehended the array, but the difficulty was the 7 golden men at the peak of the late-stage golden core realm. Chen Hao had already stepped into the mid-stage golden core realm, and the golden men had also advanced along with him to the peak of the late-stage golden core realm. Moreover, all the golden men's realms had advanced. In addition, the 7 golden men had completely formed the 7 stars array. Chen Hao couldn't find any flaws at all, and the attacks were endless. Chen Hao had lost count of how many times he had failed. Chen Hao, who was sitting cross-legged, let out a long sigh and slowly opened his eyes. The two sharp sword lights seemed to be substantial, and what was more shocking was that the essence chi emitted from the top of his head contained a sword essence that could pierce the sky. Swordsman. There was no doubt that the sword essence emitted by the swordsman was many times more powerful than that of Moue. I actually comprehended sword essence. I should be able to succeed, right? The remaining 6 golden men were instantly defeated. Under Chen Hao's sharp sword light, it was like cutting melons and vegetables, and it only took 1 minute for the battle to end. With one less, the combat strength of the 6 golden men was no threat at all. This was the biggest weakness of the combined formation attack, and not a single one could be missing. Chen Hao could easily kill the 6 golden men half a year ago. It's finally broken. No wonder real swordsmen are so popular. I've only just comprehended sword essence, and it's already so powerful. Chen Hao said with a trace of excitement. The terror of sword essence was beyond his imagination. Hiss. The space was distorted, and the arcade formation finally collapsed. A huge circular room appeared in front of Chen Hao. It was 1,000 feet in diameter, and the circular floor was divided into 7 pieces. Each piece was different in color, and they were covered with runes that could operate independently and connect as a whole. It was the 7-layer formation that Chen Hao broke through. In the center of the circle stood a cylindrical platform, and on the platform were 4 jade slips that exuded an ancient aura. Secret manuals of absolute arts. Chen Hao's heart skipped a beat, and he was slightly disappointed. What he yearned for the most was not secret manuals of absolute arts, but precious things like elixirs and miraculous medicines, but he had no choice. Obviously, this was his reward. 7 stars sword technique, 7 stars finger sword, 7 stars footwork, 7 stars sutra. It's actually a combination of absolute arts. Thank goodness. After Chen Hao saw the immortal names on the 4 jade slips, a trace of relief appeared on his face, and he directly put them into the storage space. At this moment, a beam of light appeared out of thin air and covered Chen Hao. I'm afraid Shaolien still needs a long time. The moment his figure disappeared, Chen Hao thought to himself. He had a subtle thought. However, he immediately cut it off. This was definitely a good thing for Tantai Lien. It was such a sacred cultivation ground, and there were golden men to fight. When Tantai Lien came out, she would definitely have an astonishing improvement. Chen Hao knew that it was not necessarily a good thing for him to come out so quickly. If he cultivated slowly, he would definitely be able to steadily improve. At least, it would be better than cultivating in the star-picking sect. Even if he went out to train, it would be better to stay there if he did not have great opportunities and luck. However, Chen Hao did not deliberately care about this. If he could do it, he would do it. Let nature take its course. An inner sect elder guarding the rune of the star-picking peak 7 stars grotto heaven suddenly sensed a mysterious aura fluctuation and immediately opened his eyes. A bright light rose. Ever since the outer sect disciples returned, they had been waiting for 3.5 months. She's finally coming out. The inner sect elder's face flashed with excitement. With a thought, he immediately sent out a message. As soon as he sent out the message, the elder's expression changed drastically, and his eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. Third update. Third update today. Chapter 239. Disciple Chen Hao pays his respects to 4th elder. This elder was elderly, who was in charge of the welfare of the star-picking sect. He was Li Hong, ranked 4th among the inner sect elders. Chen Hao saw the 4th elder's shocked expression and did not find it strange. He smiled and cupped his fists in greeting. This. Chen Hao. Are you really Chen Hao? Li Hong's expression carried a trace of excitement, but he still asked in disbelief. Yes. Chen Hao. Ah. How is this possible? Is this real? At this moment, Yuan Tairan and the others, who had received Li Hong's message, rushed over as fast as lightning when the mysterious rune emitted its aura. When they saw Chen Hao, they were extremely shocked. Good, good. Chen Hao, quickly tell us, what's going on in the 4th level? Why did you take so long to come out? Tell us the details. Even Yuan Tairan could not control his excitement and asked impatiently. Yes, Chen Hao replied and calmly explained the situation after entering the 7-star space. He did not omit anything, including the 7-star Pearl Array and the 7 Stars Palace. 7 Stars Palace, quintessential essence space. No wonder we could not lock onto your aura. So that's why. Chen Hao, are Tantai Lian and Yiwen Dao? Yuan Tairan asked. Little Lien is still in the 7 Stars Palace. It will probably take some time for her to come out. Chen Hao said. What? Are you sure? Yuan Tairan asked in shock. The others were also shocked. Yes. She will probably take some time. Chen Hao said calmly. Chen Hao could sense something strange from everyone's gazes, especially Meng Langang. Coupled with Yuan Tairan's words about locking onto their auras, Chen Hao already knew what was going on. Strange, why couldn't I sense Tantai Lian in Yiwen Dao's auras? Did you see Yiwen Dao? Yuan Tairan asked. Since Tantai Lian was still alive, it meant that their speculations were completely wrong. Yes, Chen Hao said. Where is he? Are you still in the 7 Stars Palace? Meng Dagang asked anxiously. Chen Hao shook his head and exuded a fierce aura. He said, I killed him. The sect leader was unable to lock onto Xiaoyan's aura because Xiaoyan had almost died in Yi Wendao's hands. To be more precise, she had already died in Yi Wendao's hands. Fortunately, Xiaoyan has the inheritance of the phoenix, so she was able to escape. This matter is over. Yuan Tairan interrupted Meng Langang and looked at Chen Hao. Chen Hao, your mountain peak has already been prepared for you. You can enjoy the treatment of a core disciple. You should have comprehended quite a bit in the past year. Go back and cultivate in seclusion. Thank you, Sovereign. Unbelievable. Senior brother Chen Hao came back alive, yeah, and he has even reached the mid-stage of the Golden Core realm. Tantai Lian isn't dead either. She's still in the 7 Stars Palace. The information released by the sect didn't mention Yuan Dao. I'm afraid the rumors are the same. He must have died in the hands of senior brother Chen Hao. Damn it, Jijun, I'm afraid we're in trouble. What's there to be afraid of? Isn't it just stealing Li Yifeng's woman? We'll restrain ourselves in the future. It's not a big deal. Chen Hao won't do anything to us because of this. Besides, it's time for us to find a backer. You and I are ranked first and second among the low-ranked disciples. As long as we can enter the top 10 among the mid-ranked disciples, it won't be a problem for us to join senior brother Long Yukong's faction. That's true. Senior brother Long Yukong is ranked first among the core disciples. As long as we're qualified to join his faction, it won't be a problem. There are still 5 months left. Let's go out and train. We'll come back on the last day of the 7 Stars Palace. 4 hours later, all the outer, inner, and core disciples of the star-picking sect were in an uproar. This was because news of Chen Hao's return from the 7 Stars Palace had been released through the sect's token. Chen Hao's peak, which was named after Chen Hao, was also officially opened. The nearby hills had become Chen Hao's peak. Without Chen Hao's permission, no one was allowed to cultivate there. The disciples who were training outside also received news of Chen Hao's return through the token. Yi Feishue and the rest were naturally surprised. When Elder Wu and Dongfang Ting received the news, they were obviously even more excited. However, when they received a personal message from the sovereign that Chen Hao was coming to the 100 Empire ranking, both of them frowned. As for Li Long, who was training outside, after receiving the news, he didn't say a word and used his fastest speed to go to the Wantong Merchant Association. After Chen Hao returned to his own peak, he went to find Yang Fan, Li Yifeng, and Ni Jianping before the sect sent out the news. The three of them were naturally excited to see that Chen Hao had returned alive. Chen Hao, who enjoyed the treatment of a core disciple, allowed the three of them to stay in his peak. Core disciples had the right to cultivate their own forces. The peak that was specially prepared for Chen Hao had already attracted the jealousy of many core disciples. Regardless of the location of the peak, the palace built, or the condensed array, it was ranked at the top among the core disciples. The four of them drank and chatted until late at night. When Yang Fan and the other two returned to their new palace, Chen Hao turned into a stream of light and flew silently to the star-picking peak. Just as he reached the entrance of the star-picking peak, an invisible energy welcomed Chen Hao in. Yuan Tairan had been waiting for a long time. He stared at Chen Hao and asked with a smile, "Have a seat. What's the matter that you want to talk to me alone?" Today, before Chen Hao left, he sent a voice transmission to say that he would visit him at night. "Sect Master, I want to go take a look at the 100 Empire rankings." Chen Hao sat down and said in a low voice. "100 Empire rankings? What for? My friends should have made it into the 100 Empire rankings. I want to pull them to the star-picking sect," Chen Hao said. It had been a year and 10 months since he stepped into the star-picking sect. The biennial 100 Empire rankings was about to reach the final 100 Empire rankings battle. Of course, Chen Hao would remember. In fact, this was one of the main reasons why he broke through so many levels in the 7 Stars Hall. "Oh. That's a simple matter. You just need to tell me your name and I'll send a message to Elder Wu. As long as they don't mind our star-picking sect's low grade, there won't be a problem. I want to go personally and train at the same time," Chen Hao said. Upon hearing Chen Hao's words, Yuan Tairan frowned slightly and said, "You're only at the mid-stage Golden Core realm now. If Fan Feng finds out about your training, it'll be very dangerous. He's already a half-step nascent soul realm cultivator and can trigger the heavenly Tao law at any time to ascend to the nascent soul realm. I can't hide in the sect forever just because of him. Moreover, I need to train. The eastern continent is vast and boundless. It won't be easy for him to find me. I'll sneak out and announce that I'm in seclusion. As long as he's not at the nascent soul realm, he won't be able to do anything to me," Chen Hao said confidently and resolutely. "You mean to go take a look at the 100 Empire rankings and start training right away?" "Yes. If that's the case, then you can go. This year's 100 Empire rankings battle is organized by the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. It's 1.3 million miles away from the star-picking sect. If you want to go, use the Chamber of Commerce's transportation array. Be careful. You're only at the mid-stage Golden Core realm." Yuan Tairan pondered for a moment but still agreed to Chen Hao's request. "Understood," Chen Hao replied. "When do you leave?" "Tomorrow," Chen Hao said. "Wait a moment," Yuan Tairan said and disappeared in front of Chen Hao. A moment later, he took out a storage ring and said, "There are some primal crystal stones in here and 3 sets of Earth-class mid-grade absolute art jade slips. 1 set of sword techniques, 1 set of movement techniques, and 1 set of quenching true yuan. This is all I can give you. You'll have to rely on yourself for the rest. The world of cultivation is dangerous. Countless geniuses have fallen in training. Only true geniuses can stand out. Work hard." After Chen Hao left the star-picking peak, a figure silently came to the palace of the sect master, Yuan Tairan. It was the elder of imparting techniques. Whoosh! The next day, a stream of light streaked across the sky. Chen Hao stepped on a cloud and left the star-picking sect at lightning speed. He had truly stepped into the world of cultivation. 1.3 million miles isn't very far. There are still 2 months before the 100 Empire ranking competition begins. Since I'm out, there's no need to use the teleportation formation. Chen Hao thought to himself as he flew quickly in the void. A map of the eastern continent appeared in his mind. He was very clear about the rules of the world of cultivation. Of course, he would not forget his conflict with Fan Fong. However, it would not be in his character to stay in the star-picking sect forever just because of Fan Fong. Although Chen Hao had not tested his current combat strength, he believed that even if he could not defeat Fan Fong, he could at least survive. The star-picking sect was only a third-rank sect. He could be considered a super genius in the star-picking sect and was highly regarded by the sect master. However, compared to the geniuses in the world of cultivation, he was still at the bottom. If he wanted to improve quickly, he had to start training. So what if it was dangerous? Opportunity and danger went hand in hand. Whoosh! 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 Chen Hao increased his speed to the maximum. After entering the Golden Elixir realm, other than fighting the Golden Men, he did not have a real understanding of his speed and strength. After all, the Golden Men's combat strength was different from that of a cultivator. Their cooperation was perfect, but there was no change. After all, they lacked flexibility and flexibility. So fast, Chen Hao did not know that in the void, hundreds of miles away, a figure seemed to have merged with the world. His aura was completely restrained as he quietly followed him. After sensing Chen Hao's increasing speed, the figure was a little shocked. Even an advanced Golden Elixir realm expert would not be able to match this kid in terms of speed. The sect master is still the best. The figure murmured. It was the elder of imparting skills of the star-picking sect. Yuan Tyron's importance to Chen Hao was definitely beyond his and the other elders' imagination. It was even more unbelievable that he had sent him, the elder of imparting skills. This made him a little dissatisfied. But at this moment, Chen Hao displayed a speed that was completely beyond his level, which made him feel a little better. P.S. I'm very, very sorry. I was delayed by something today. It just so happens that there is a plot twist that needs to be carefully thought out, so I wrote it very slowly. Today is the first update. Everyone, please don't wait. Tomorrow, Dark Mountain will pay you back at midnight. Sorry. Chapter 240. Air Restricting Area. This should be the Dark Forest, right? 3 days later, Chen Hao was forced to land on a mountain. He stared at the scene in front of him and said in his mind. Behind him, there were mountains, green trees, and bright sunlight. It was full of vitality. However, after crossing the mountain in front of him, there were layers of fog, revealing a gloomy and dark aura. Yes. Master, the dark forest is 100,000 miles wide and nearly 1,000,000 miles long. It is the most suitable place for practitioners of the Gold Core realm to gain experience. There are many spiritual herbs with special effects, which are very valuable. Many rogue cultivators and sect disciples come here to gain experience. When I reached the peak of the Gold Core realm, I stayed here for 3 years. I got the concealment skill, an upper-class Earth rank unique skill, from a disciple of a 7th grade sect. Moreover, there are countless demonic beasts of the early Gold Core realm here. There are also many middle Gold Core realm demonic beasts, and few late Gold Core realm demonic beasts. Only the core area is suitable for you to gain experience with your battle strength, as long as you don't enter the core area. Ito Ta said respectfully. In the end, Chen Hao did not destroy his soul. This guy had rich experience in Jianghu. He should be of great help to Chen Hao, who was about to enter the cultivation world. Well, I will gain experience here for 2 months first. As he spoke, Chen Hao could already see several streaks of light entering the dark forest from a distance. Judging from their aura, they should be at the middle Gold Core realm. Chen Hao's body shook and he entered the dark forest. At first glance, there was grey fog everywhere. The air was filled with the strong aura of demonic beasts, which made Chen Hao feel a sense of oppression from the depths of his soul. The range of his perception was greatly restricted. It was less than 1/3 of the outside world. Just as Ito Ta said. Chen Hao had only gone more than 10 miles when he encountered dozens of demonic beasts of the early Gold Core realm. These demonic beasts were very smart. They sensed Chen Hao's aura and quickly avoided him. They did not even dare to approach him. Even so, Chen Hao took the initiative to attack and killed several demonic beasts. He felt no threat at all. Roar! After traveling 1,000 li, a peak late-stage golden core demonic beast exuding a terrifying aura blocked Chen Hao's path. Three-headed golden-crowned python. Finally, I've met a powerful one. Chen Hao stopped abruptly as excitement flashed in his eyes. Master, the three-headed golden-crowned python is very fast and can use its demonic energy to fly. Its ultimate move is the poison origin tongue of the three-headed golden-crowned python, which is as fast as lightning. Once one is touched by its tongue, one will be poisoned. The poison is so strong that even a nascent soul realm cultivator would be severely injured. If the poison isn't forced out in time, one will instantly rot into a pile of flesh. Okay. Chen Hao stood still on the spot, his eyes glittering as he stared at the three-headed golden-crowned python. This beast was 20 zhang long and as thick as 3 people, it coiled up like a small hill. The scales on its body shone with a golden glow, emitting a metallic luster. Its 3 heads were held high, and its forked tongues flickered in and out of its 3 mouths, dripping with stinky saliva. Its 6 scarlet eyes stared at Chen Hao, as if it was looking at a prey that was within its grasp. Hiss! Hundreds of feet away, one of the heads of the three-headed golden-crowned python suddenly spat out a putrid black fog at Chen Hao. Dragon subduing palm. Dub he sword. Chen Hao stepped forward and struck out with his left palm. Immediately, he formed a sword with his right hand and attacked at the same time. A sharp sword radiance, carrying the mysterious aura of the Dubhe formation, followed closely behind the 18 dragons and shot towards the three-headed golden-crowned python. Boom! The black fog was directly shattered by the dragon-subduing palm. Chen Hao's sword radiance rushed towards the middle head of the three-headed golden-crowned python like lightning. The three-headed golden-crowned python let out a strange cry. Its coiled body suddenly uncoiled, and its tail, which was covered in golden scales, swept out horizontally. The small hill was flattened, and it swiftly collided with Chen Hao's sword light. Ding! Boom! Chen Hao's sword radiance only left a shallow mark on the scales before it was shattered. Amazing! Chen Hao was slightly surprised. This three-headed golden-crowned python is much stronger than the golden man at the peak of the golden elixir realm. It can even block 90% of my attack. No wonder it didn't dodge like other low-level demonic beasts. Chen Hao's expression became serious as he looked at the dispersing poisonous fog that caused the surrounding plants to lose all their vitality. Clang! The 5 elements golden sword was unsheathed. A sharp sword intent soared into the sky. Chen Hao stabbed out. Puff! The scales were broken. Explode! With a boom, a huge hole appeared on the tail of the three-headed golden-crowned python. Smelly blood spurted out. It was so painful that it let out a sharp roar. Its huge body rose into the air and coiled around Chen Hao like lightning. At the same time, it opened its 3 mouths and released an even more terrifying poisonous fog. Good boy, this three-headed golden-crowned python is a demonic beast at the peak of the golden elixir realm. Its defense, speed, strength, and especially the poison it contains. Even a genius disciple at the peak of the golden elixir realm would be forced to retreat. He is only at the middle stage of the golden elixir realm. He is really bold. Come closer. Above the dark clouds, dozens of miles away, a figure's gaze seemed to penetrate the clouds and locked onto Chen Hao. When Chen Hao encountered the three-headed golden-crowned python, he muttered to himself. After he finished speaking, he moved closer as fast as lightning, ready to attack at any time. This figure was the elder of imparting arts who had secretly followed him. Sword intent. This boy has also comprehended sword intent. When he saw Chen Hao break through the defense of the three-headed golden-crowned python with his second sword, the elder of imparting arts was a little surprised. But when he saw that Chen Hao did not retreat in the face of the angry three-headed golden-crowned python, he was immediately frightened. Without hesitation, his figure flashed and shot out as fast as lightning. Die for me. A huge hand suddenly appeared, carrying with it the power of heaven. In Chen Hao's surprise, it directly grabbed the three heads of the three-headed golden-crowned python and dragged it into the air. Bang bang bang. With 3 explosions, flesh and blood splattered. Instant kill. Great Elder. Chen Hao frowned slightly. Looking at the figure that appeared in the air, he was very unhappy. His rising battle intent was forcibly cut off. Who would be happy? Boy, are you crazy? Did you not read the information that the sect gave you? This is a three-headed golden-crowned python. Not to mention that you are only in the middle stage of the Aurus Core realm, even a peak late-stage Aurus Core realm cultivator would have to retreat. Nascent soul realm cultivators can only fight from a distance. You want to fight in close combat? Are you not courting death? That venom can instantly destroy your physical body. The elder of imparting skills stared at Chen Hao and said, with your experience, it's best that you don't train alone. Train with the experts in the sect for a period of time and increase your knowledge. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. Great Elder, have you been following me? Chen Hao's expression was a little strange. He avoided the elder of imparting arts' words and asked in return. You are the rare genius of the Zhaixing sect. You have no experience, and with Fan Fong as your enemy, how could the sect leader let you go out alone? I should have known, damn it. Hearing the great elder's words, Chen Hao cursed gloomily in his heart. After a moment of silence, he said, Thank you for your concern, sect leader and great elder, but, if you do this, my training will be meaningless. Great Elder, please go back. The great elder frowned slightly. Of course, he knew what Chen Hao was thinking. This time, he had indeed acted too early. Moreover, Chen Hao obviously did not understand the power of the three-colored golden-crowned python. Anyone would be displeased. But there was no other way. The three-headed golden-crowned python's venom was too strong. If Chen Hao were to fight in close combat, even he would not be able to save Chen Hao in time. The situation this time is special. The three-colored golden-crowned python must not be fought in close combat. If even the slightest touch of its venom, even I would not be able to save you. Otherwise, I would not have interrupted you. If I could avoid interfering, I would try my best not to interfere. Be careful. Take the three-headed golden-crowned python's inner core and scales. After the great elder finished speaking, he disappeared in front of Chen Hao. Chen Hao gloomily cut off the inner core and the huge snake skin and put them into his storage space. I have to shake him off. He's simply treating me like a bird. Since I'm fighting in close combat, I'll definitely be able to block the poison. Damn it. Chen Hao's valiant and spirited fighting spirit seemed to have been doused with a basin of cold water. He no longer had the mood to train as he spoke in his mind. It won't be easy to shake him off. He is the elder of the Zhaixing sect who has reached the peak of the incarnation realm. Unless you can cultivate my concealment technique to the peak, it won't be easy to shake him off. Actually, you don't have to worry too much. It's a good thing that he's here. This time, the reason he acted was because the three-headed golden-crowned python's venom was too strong. If I wanted to protect you, I would have done the same. Good thing my ass. With this soul shackle, how can it be called training? Shaking him off is easy. Chen Hao's face flashed with a hint of arrogance. His figure immediately turned into a stream of light and quickly fled towards the dark forest. At the same time, a mysterious rune suddenly rose from the storage space of the Xianhuang bracelet and covered the sect token. Everything that could be sensed had been sealed. The first elder was not old Xiao. Chen Hao could rely on his powerful soul and the ability to restrain his aura to avoid him. However, the current Chen Hao was also not the Chen Hao of the past. With the ability to restrain his aura, he believed that he could easily shake off the first elder. Who? His figure rapidly ran forward for 1,000 miles. Chen Hao did not hide his strength and directly displayed his terrifying strength. When he felt that the first elder should be a little more relaxed about him, he entered a cave and sat cross-legged to cultivate. Chen Hao was very clear that the first elder was sensing his aura and not looking at him. After condensing his aura and energy into a piece and using a simple energy sealing formation to prevent the energy from dissipating and his aura from dissipating, Chen Hao retracted all of his aura and merged with the heaven and earth. Like a gust of wind, he escaped from the cave. A cicada shedding its carapace. This spirit array should be able to last for 3 days. When Grand Elder discovers it, hee. Chen Hao's mouth carried a wisp of a complacent smile as he quietly headed in another direction, quickly and silently. First update. Chapter 241. Several hours later, Chen Hao, who did not carry any aura, passed through the dark forest like a gust of wind and avoided countless demon beasts at the peak of the late Golden Core stage. Chen Hao was sure that no matter how powerful the Grand Elder was, he could not lock onto his aura at a distance of nearly 10,000 miles. In front of him was an endless desert. There was no sign of life, and the sun was like fire. Without the restriction of the air restriction domain, Chen Hao rose into the air and increased his speed to the limit. Half a day later, Chen Hao flew at full speed for more than 10,000 miles and finally passed through the desert. Tall mountains and flowing water appeared in front of him, full of green and vitality. This should be the Swallow Dang mountain range. If I head southeast for another 10,000 miles, I'll reach the first city, Oasis City. I'll use Oasis City's teleportation formation to leave this place first. Chen Hao compared the terrain of the mountain range in front of him with the map in his mind. After determining his location, he once again increased his speed to the limit. Chen Hao, who was flying at high speed, suddenly stopped and frowned. His powerful soul perception caught several auras that instantly surrounded him and approached him at lightning speed. Suddenly, a hideous laugh sounded. The figures no longer hid their auras and surrounded Chen Hao like a giant bird spreading its wings. Kid, your senses are very sharp. Leave everything behind and we'll let you live. The leader stared at Chen Hao as if he was looking at a fat sheep. His aura was obviously at the late Golden Core stage. The other 5 had also reached the peak of the middle Golden Core stage. Want to rob me? Chen Hao's expression was calm and said without the slightest fear. The 6 people immediately laughed. The leader said, cut the crap. Hand it over yourself, or do you want us to do it? We've waited for 3 days and finally found one. Although he's a little thin, it's better than nothing. Ha! Boss, this kid has reached the middle Golden Core stage at such a young age. He must be a genius disciple of the sect. Don't talk nonsense with him. Just kill him. At this moment, another person said. These 6 people were rogue cultivators who roamed the world of cultivation and specialized in killing and robbing. The cultivators who were training in the dark forest would usually pass by this area and go to Oasis City to rest after their training. If they encountered a powerful team, they would naturally avoid them. However, they would not let off a lone wolf like Chen Hao. This was especially true for someone like Chen Hao, whose cultivation base was low. Moreover, it was obvious that he did not have any experience. He was definitely a fat lamb waiting to be slaughtered. With experience, who would dare to recklessly fly in the air in such a remote place? Leave your storage rings behind, break your own hands, and I'll spare your lives. Cut the crap. Chen Hao suddenly said coldly. What? This kid is crazy. Hiss. Puff. A beam of sword light appeared without warning. The expert at the peak of the middle stage gold core stage had no chance to resist at all. A fist-sized hole appeared in his throat. Before he could even scream, he fell directly from the void. What? The other 5 people, including the leader of the late-stage golden core cultivators, all exclaimed. Of death, of a man, brothers of the world, of the kill. Boom. Boom. Wind, heart-piercing blade. Fist-shattering mountains and rivers. Leg-conquering mountains and rivers. Frightened, the 5 people directly used their killing moves. They often did this kind of thing and had encountered many difficult opponents. Although they were frightened by the speed and strength of Chen Hao's sneak attack, Chen Hao was only in the middle of the golden core stage, and this was caused by underestimating the enemy. The leader of the golden core stage gathered all his strength in a punch. Coupled with the cooperation of the 4 brothers, he believed that he could definitely kill Chen Hao. But he did not expect that Chen Hao would slap out with his palm, and the 18 giant dragons instantly smashed the 5 people's joint attack. Danger. Having experienced countless battles, the 5 people instinctively felt a sense of danger that made their hair stand on end. Subconsciously, they activated their true essence and retreated quickly. But, puff. 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 You can't even withstand a single blow from an advanced golden core stage cultivator. How can such trash rob us? The 5 people who were on the verge of death heard Chen Hao's indifferent and disdainful voice and immediately lost consciousness. Master, you're too strong. With your combat power in the golden core stage, other than the genius disciples of the high-level sects, I'm afraid no one is your match. These guys are just ordinary itinerant cultivators. If you're at the peak of the middle of the golden core stage, they won't dare to stop you. Is that so? Then it seems that I'll have to use your concealment technique in the future to hide my cultivation level. I don't like to look for trouble, but I don't mind if others come looking for me to get rich. The more, the better. Chen Hao released a stream of energy and stored the 6 people's storage rings and dropped weapons into the Xianhuang ring. He did not have time to count them and sped toward Oasis City. But this time, Chen Hao concealed his aura even as he flew. He had no choice. His main task now was to completely shake off the Great Elder. Oasis City, Jingyan City, Wanxiang City, Dragon Elephant City, Silver Snow City, Black Iron City. After Chen Hao paid the entrance fee and entered Oasis City, he did not hesitate to spend a huge amount of elixir pills to pass through the transportation arrays of the various large chambers of commerce. He passed through Dragon Elephant City, where the headquarters of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion were located, and arrived at Black Iron City, which was 1,000,000 miles away from Dragon Elephant City. Black Iron City was located in the middle of the Black Flame Empire, a super empire in the world of cultivation. The ruler of the Black Flame Empire had the strength of a 5th-grade sect and countless experts. If not for the fact that the empire's system and benefits were different from those of the sects, it would probably be even stronger than a 7th-grade sect. Please pay the entrance fee of 158th-grade elixir pills or 15 9th-grade elixir pills. When Chen Hao walked out of the transportation array, the Black Iron City guard at the entrance spoke to Chen Hao. So expensive. It's 15 times more expensive than Oasis City. Chen Hao thought to himself, but he still obediently paid 158th-grade elixir pills and walked out of the transportation array hall. The battle of the top 10 on the Dragon Transformation list will begin today. I heard that the 9th-grade sect's Origin School, Sky Sword Sect, Misty Palace, and Ling Tian Sect are all here to select disciples. Really? 4 of them? It's already good enough that there were 2 ninth-grade sects in the past. Why are there so many this time? The Origin School and Sky Sword sect were all decided at the last minute. Isn't it because of the emergence of so many super geniuses on the Dragon Transformation list this time? There are more than 10 people who have stepped into the beginning stage of the Golden Core stage. This has never happened before. Let's go and bet. It'll be too late if we're late. The Dragon Transformation list. Walking out of the Transportation Array Hall, Chen Hao was surprised to see a dense crowd of people walking quickly and discussing at the same time. The transportation array Chen Hao took was the headquarters of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion in Black Iron City. What Chen Hao did not expect was that the Dragon Transformation list was also organized by the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Moreover, it was in the headquarters of Black Iron City. Chen Hao shook his head. The Dragon Transformation list was once his goal. However, at this moment, he was dispirited. Firstly, he was no longer qualified to participate. Secondly, his ability had far surpassed the Dragon Transformation list. However, when he heard the name Ling Tian sect, an inexplicable emotion still surged in Chen Hao's heart. A ninth-grade sect was a high and mighty existence. Yu, this is Black Iron City. The Dragon Transformation list this time is held in the headquarters of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Let's go, big brother. It's not the time to choose disciples yet. Yu wants to go to Black Iron City for a walk. Is that okay? Just as Chen Hao shrugged and was about to leave the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, a voice suddenly came from behind, causing Chen Hao to stop abruptly. Yu, it's not that I don't want you to go, but father has ordered, big brother, I beg you. Yu is already at the peak of the Mastery Nascent Soul stage. You'll be fine. Yu will definitely come back before the end of the competition, okay? Other than our Ling Tian sect, Yu hasn't gone anywhere else. Both of their voices were very soft. Amidst the noisy discussion, nobody noticed them. However, only the girl's voice remained in Chen Hao's mind. Her heavenly voice did not change at all. Yu, don't make things difficult for me. When the Dragon Transformation list ends, I'll take you out to play. You can go anywhere you want. Let's go. Under the black veil, Xia Yuyu's clear and beautiful eyes revealed a trace of sadness. She could only follow the young man into the sky and fly directly to the training field where the Dragon Transformation list was held. Wow! Isn't that Xia Nan Tian? The 4 great young masters are all here. Who's that girl? Could it be Xia Yuyu? Xia Yuyu. It's definitely Xia Yuyu. Although she's wearing a veil, her peerless charm. This is going to be lively. I'm afraid even the Origin School might not be able to compete with the Ling Tian sect this time. Yuyu's appearance and a smile. Who can resist her? Nobody dared to fly in the sky in the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Apart from the senior members of the sect, nobody dared to fly in the sky. Therefore, when Xia Nan Tian and Xia Yuyu flew in the sky, they instantly attracted the attention of countless people. It was only then that Chen Hao turned around to look at the figure he had not seen for more than 2 years. She was devastatingly beautiful. Although it was only her back view, it still made Chen Hao's heart sway. It had been more than 2 years. When Chen Hao gave up on the Dragon Transformation list, he had thought that he would take it one step at a time. He had thought that the figure that had once irresistible entered the depths of his heart would fade with time. However, at this moment, when he saw her again, Chen Hao was clear that she was still her. Her voice, her aura, and her figure still moved him in an instant without any reason or reason. Love at first sight, it was fated. Perhaps it was because of the surging emotions in his heart, or perhaps it was because he could not control his emotions, but Chen Hao could not help but release his aura. The beautiful figure that had already floated past the crowd in the air was suddenly startled. Under the gazes of thousands of people, she abruptly turned around and looked straight at Chen Hao. Oh no, the moment he saw Xia Yuyu turn around, Chen Hao was shocked. He quickly retracted his aura and blended into the crowd in a flash. Yuyu, what's wrong? Second update. Try to finish the third update before 12. Calm to vote. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 242. No, nothing. Xia Yuyu blankly looked at the unfamiliar faces, her heart beating faster. But to her disappointment, she didn't see any familiar figures. For more than 2 years, she had been cultivating and cultivating. Being confined, she was like a bird in a cage, without any freedom or joy. But in order to obtain freedom, she could only cultivate and improve herself. Stepping from the martial god realm to the peak of the late nascent soul realm in 2 years, what kind of concept was that? She had obtained supreme glory and the title of the #1 beauty in the Eastern continent in 1,000 years. She had obtained the meticulous care and nurturing of her family, but she couldn't feel happy. She had thought that after reaching the peak of the late nascent soul realm, she would obtain freedom, but she didn't expect that it would be this kind of freedom. Her big brother, who was at the incarnation realm, and the elders who had been hiding in the surroundings, were like an invisible cage. And she was just a little bird in a moving cage. The cage was the one with freedom, not her. The aura she had sensed had come too quickly and left too quickly. It had been so quick that Xia Yuyu thought it was an illusion. I was thinking too much. He had already given up on the dragon transformation list in the star-picking sect. How could he appear here? Xia Yuyu turned her head in disappointment and continued to follow her big brother. She wasn't like Chen Hao, who had his own freedom. She didn't have any distracting thoughts in her environment. Other than the sect tournament, she didn't have any opportunities to come into contact with the outside world. She could only see her parents, grandfather, and a few other relatives who had raised her like a treasure. Therefore, unlike Chen Hao, she wouldn't let the 1.5 years of cultivation remain silent in her heart. Secretly staring at Xia Yuyu, who had turned around and left at a loss, the corner of Chen Hao's mouth revealed a bitter smile. Especially after hearing the discussions of the people around him, his heart surged. You're a heavenly daughter, and I'm just a nameless mid-golden core realm kid. I can't see you for the time being, and I'm not worthy of you. I don't want my dignity to be trampled on again. Wait for me to be strong enough. Chen Hao's eyes shone with a resplendent light as he hardened his heart. The scene of Xia Yuyu's father and grandfather trampling on his dignity made him clench his fists and clench his teeth. It's him. When Chen Hao resolutely walked out of the heavenly armament pavilion, an ordinary-looking middle-aged man who was guarding the entrance saw Chen Hao walking against the flow of people. His eyes flashed with an imperceptible excitement. Then, he quietly activated the communication talisman in his hand. Black Iron City. This kid seems to be running away from someone. He first appeared in Oasis City, then Scenic Cloud City, then Myriad Phenomenon City, Dragon Elephant City, and Silver's Now City. He did not stop at all. This time, he finally exited the teleportation array in Black Iron City. Inform Fan Fong immediately. Yes. The leader of the Wantong Chamber of Commerce, who was in charge of this mission, gave the order. The Myriad Links Trading Company had countless masters and spies all over the eastern continent. As long as anyone could pay the right price, they could obtain information that satisfied their customers. Even though it was only a merchant association, in the entire eastern continent, even the Yuan school, the leader of the 9th-rank sects, did not dare to rashly offend it. Not only were they well informed, but there was also a more important reason. The president of the Wantong Chamber of Commerce was a top expert with a mysterious identity. Walking on the wide street, Chen Hao, who originally wanted to stroll around Black Iron City, lost all interest and quickly headed out of the city. 30,000 miles south of Black Iron City, the Black Wind Ancient Cave was Chen Hao's destination. According to Ito Ta, the third floor of the Black Wind Ancient Cave was one of the most suitable places for Golden Elixir Realm practitioners to train. The first and second floors were where Khanate Realm disciples trained. The Black Wind Ancient Cave contained precious black iron ore veins and countless demonic beasts that could not be killed. No one knew how many floors there were, how deep and how big the cave was. It was easy to get lost in the crisscrossing and winding natural ancient cave. It had been nearly 1,000 years since its discovery. In the beginning, many practitioners never came out after entering, and it was listed as a dangerous place to train. More than 100 years ago, the Heavenly Armament Pavilion condensed a huge teleportation array at the entrance of the Black Wind Ancient Cave and sold teleportation talismans. Only then did the Black Wind Ancient Cave become a treasured place for countless sect disciples and independent practitioners to train. Whoosh! After exiting the south gate of Black Iron City, Chen Hao immediately flew into the air and turned into a stream of light. Perhaps it was because the dragon transformation list attracted most practitioners, but Chen Hao did not meet any practitioners along the way. It was only when he neared the Black Wind Ancient Cave that he saw a few practitioners, either alone or in groups of 3 to 5. Target has arrived at the Black Wind Ancient Cave. Target has entered the Black Wind Ancient Cave, did not purchase a teleportation talisman. Chen Hao did not know that when he walked out of Black Iron City, a bird-like thing without any energy aura was constantly 100 miles away, locking onto Chen Hao's whereabouts. The middle-aged man who discovered Chen Hao in Black Iron City was transmitting the news in real time. This was the most powerful tracking treasure of the Myriad Links trading firm, the puppet bird. Even an primordial soul realm expert would not be able to detect it, let alone Chen Hao. The small puppet bird contained powerful concealment and communication arrays. It relied on energy crystals to fly, and its maximum speed was comparable to a peak late-stage primordial soul realm expert. Furthermore, it did not have any life aura. What? Fan Fang, who was leading more than 10 mid-stage and late-stage golden elixir experts, was rushing towards Black Iron City through the city's teleportation array. He frowned when he received the news. Is this kid crazy? How dare he not go through the Heavenly Armament Pavilion's teleportation array, damn it. Fan Fang cursed angrily. Even he did not dare to enter the Black Wind Ancient Cave without going through the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Without a teleportation talisman, it was basically impossible to get out once one entered. Otherwise, it would not have been designated as a dangerous training ground. Should we continue to follow? Our puppet bird may not be able to get out of the Black Wind Ancient Cave. If you want to chase, you'll need to pay an additional 30 million level 8 elixirs. 30 million. After receiving the news, Fan Fang's face turned green. Where would he get 30 million elixirs from? He could only rely on himself. An hour later, Fan Fang and the 13 Sword Faction disciples arrived at the entrance of the Black Wind Ancient Cave, 14 teleportation talismans and 14 positioning discs. And 140 pairs of communication talismans, Fan Fang said directly after arriving at the Heavenly Armament Pavilion's teleportation array. 14 teleportation talismans, 1. 4 million level 8 elixirs, 14 positioning discs, 140,000 level 8 elixirs, 140 pairs of communication talismans, 140,000 level 8 elixirs, a total of 168 million level 8 elixirs. Fan Fang quickly paid for the elixirs. Even he felt the pinch. Originally, they only needed to wait at the teleportation array until Chen Hao came out. But now, Fan Fang had no choice but to go in. Because Chen Hao did not buy any teleportation talismans, it meant that he could stay in there for years, decades, or even never come out. He might even die in there. This was not what he wanted. Because Chen Hao's inner demon had not been removed, he, who was half a step away from the nascent soul stage, did not dare to trigger the divine punishment. He had already been delayed for 2 years, how could he dare to delay any longer? After buying the items, Fan Fong distributed the teleportation talismans, positioning discs, and communication talismans to the 13 disciples and went straight to the entrance of the Black Wind Ancient Cave. Did you see this kid? He came in an hour ago. After Fan Fong finished speaking, he appeared in front of the young disciples who had gathered not far away. He took out a portrait of Chen Hao and asked. This was the first level of the Black Wind Ancient Cave. Usually, many cultivators would gather here after entering, or wait for someone. I saw him, he went that way. The young disciples felt the powerful aura and pressure from Fan Fong and did not dare to lie. One of them said. Let's go. At Fan Fong's command, he led the 13 men and chased after them at lightning speed. The disciples of the Sword Faction, what a terrifying aura, could it be the super genius of the Sword Faction, Fan Fong? I feel that his aura is even more terrifying than senior brother Chen Hua's. It is Fan Fong. I saw him 2 years ago during the recruitment of disciples for the 100 Empire ranking. It is said that even disciples in the early nascent soul stage are no match for him. That kid just now must be Chen Hao, the one who fought to a draw with the champion of the previous 100 Empire rankings. How awesome, he has actually advanced to the intermediate Golden Core stage. When I saw him just now, I was still wondering how there could be someone who looked so similar. Since Fan Fong has chased after him, he must be Chen Hao. Ah. Senior brotherly, they have a grudge. Those who went to the 100 Empire ranking knew. This Chen Hao killed Fan Fong's most beloved little sister in the Divine Battle Ruins. You might not know this, but at that time, several sects were trying to get Chen Hao to join them, and they even made special offers to Fan Fong. Oh, that Chen Hao is really not simple. He has advanced to the intermediate Golden Core stage so quickly. Unfortunately, he is doomed this time, that may not be true. This Fan Fong is a bit of an idiot. If I were him, I would wait at the teleportation array in the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. The Dark Wind Cave is crisscrossing. Looking for someone is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Although it is only an hour, there are so many forks. If Chen Hao is lucky, it will not be easy to catch up. The demonic beasts on the first level could not stop them at all. But after more than 10 minutes, 5 tunnels appeared in front of them. Split up and chase. You will split into 4 groups. Once you find him, send me a message immediately. Intermediate and peak Golden Core stage, do not attack. Just tail him. That kid is already at the intermediate Golden Core stage. His combat power may be very high. Advanced Golden Core stage, catch him. I will take care of him. When you meet a fork, split up if you can. When you meet a cultivator, ask him. But don't waste too much time. His target should be the 3rd level. If you can't catch up in an hour, find the entrance to the 2nd level. Don't waste time on the 2nd level. Go straight to the 3rd level. Yes. Hiss. Chen Hao's body was like a gust of wind, shuttling through the cave quickly. Itoda was indeed a veteran who made a living by killing and robbing people. This Dark Wind Ancient Cave was thousands of miles wide. It was extremely complicated and crisscrossing. He was familiar with it. When he was hunted down, he hid in the Dark Wind Ancient Cave for 10 whole years. This saved Chen Hao 100,000 level 8 spiritual pills. Otherwise, Chen Hao would have to buy a teleportation talisman. 3rd update. Make up for yesterday's overdue stamp. I am really sorry. There are so many things to do these days, and I can't escape from them. Chapter 243. Ito Ta, you are wrong 3 times, is there a problem with your memory? 3 hours later, with Chen Hao's speed, in the rugged and complex first floor of the Black Wind Ancient Cave, he ran more than 30,000 miles. According to the route of the 2nd floor, he walked 3 times, but he did not find the entrance, which made Chen Hao lose his patience. Cough, it seems that something is wrong. My memory is correct, obviously the 3 places I pointed have the entrance to the 2nd floor, how can there be no entrance? Could it be that the Black Wind ancient cave has changed in these years? It should be like this Black Wind ancient cave is also an ancient ruin, so far no one has been able to explore it completely, let's go back and ask other cultivators. As for going out, don't worry, just casually kill 2 people. Ito Ta said awkwardly. Itoda was here when he was at the peak of the late Jidun realm. It was decades ago. Even he did not expect such a situation to happen. With his cultivation at the peak of the late Yuanying realm, his memory should not be confused. In the future, I am not a devil cultivator, I will kill those who should be killed, but killing innocent people is not allowed. Chen Hao said. Just now, along the way, he saw a lot of Xiantian disciples, who were basically in groups of 5 or 6, and some of the groups were guarded by peak late gold core stage experts. According to Ito Ta, these disciples were basically the genius disciples of the sect, there were very few rogue cultivators. Because the transmission talisman of Heavenly Armament Pavilion was too expensive, 100,000 8th level spirit pills, ordinary rogue cultivators were reluctant to pay. Of course, there were also people like Chen Hao who did not buy the transmission talisman. However, these people were basically the same as Itoda. They came in with the mentality of killing people and robbing them. If they wanted to go out, they could kill a few people and get the transmission talisman. The premise was that they could not get lost in the Black Wind ancient cave. Even if they had the transmission talisman, they would not dare to go too deep. From the Black Wind ancient cave to Heavenly Armament Pavilion, the distance in a straight line could not exceed 100,000 miles, otherwise, the transmission talisman would fail. Since Heavenly Armament Pavilion spent a lot of money to build a giant transmission array at the entrance of the Black Wind ancient cave, for more than 100 years, there were still countless cultivators who entered but did not come out. However, this ancient dark wind cave is indeed like a maze. If we want to leave without a teleportation talisman, I'm afraid that we won't be able to leave. Chen Hao said with a frown. Although he had a photographic memory, he didn't pay attention to the number of forks when he came in because of Itoda. These forked paths were crisscrossed, densely packed, and extremely complicated. Not to mention Fan Fong, even the elder of imparting skills had been shaken off. How could Fan Fong catch up with him? Master, something's wrong. This disciple is from the sword faction. Itoda said immediately. Itoda already knew about Chen Hao and Fan Fong when the elder of imparting skills from the star-picking sect came to protect him. What's the big deal? It's just the sword faction, not Fan Fong. Besides, even if it's Fan Fong, what's there to be afraid of? Chen Hao said casually. Fan Fong was still in the Golden Elixir realm. Although he was half a step away from the nascent soul realm, he was still a super genius and his combat strength must be very high. However, as long as he wasn't in the nascent soul realm, Chen Hao had nothing to be afraid of. You'd better be careful. Master, I know that your combat strength is very high, but Fan Fong is indeed a rare genius. Although he's only a 6th grade faction, he can be famous in the world of cultivation not only because of his fast progress, but also because of his terrifying combat strength. He's half a step away from the nascent soul realm and can reach the nascent soul realm at any time. Boom. 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 Chen Hao followed the disciple silently and moved forward quickly. At this moment, they passed through a huge cave that was hundreds of feet wide and entered a huge space with a radius of thousands of feet. 6 or 7 disciples in the nascent soul realm were crazily hunting demonic beasts. Next to them was a middle-aged man at the peak of the Golden Elixir realm. As for Chen Hao, when he saw a few more passageways appear in the huge space, he stopped and quickly walked towards the disciples. Get out of my way. The disciple of the sword faction shouted and swung his sword to kill a large number of demonic beasts. He came near them like lightning and said with a trace of arrogance, "Don't be afraid. I'm an inner disciple of the sword faction. I just want to ask you something. Have you seen this person before?" To Chen Hao's surprise, the disciple of the sword faction took out a portrait and asked under the watchful eyes of the other expert. "No, we haven't. I'm sorry." The middle-aged man at the peak of the golden elixir realm relaxed slightly. When the disciple of the sword faction came over, he recognized him as a disciple of the sword faction. And the strength he showed when killing the demonic beasts just now was not something he could compete with. Although he was in the same realm as the disciple. Damn it! The disciple of the flying sword school cursed. His body flashed, and he directly rushed into a cave, quickly leaving. Amazing! He's really looking for me. Chen Hao's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness and ridicule as he said in his mind. It must be the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce. Fan Fang seems to have paid a big price. Ito Ta said with great certainty. Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce. A chamber of commerce that specializes in selling information is so powerful. Chen Hao said. Chen Hao had seen the introduction of the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce in the sex information, but he didn't take it seriously. Yes, the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce is very powerful. As long as you can afford it, there is no information that they can't find. Not to mention that you don't even have a disguise now, and your cultivation is only at the middle of the golden elixir realm. Even if I used the possession technique and the concealment technique, I couldn't escape their eyes. Yi Feishuan knew that I was in the Sky Wolf Demon area, and she also paid a big price to buy the information from the Wan Tong Chamber of Commerce. In the world of cultivation, they have spies in every city. Unless you stay in the wilderness and don't come into contact with anyone, there's no wall that doesn't have a crack. Fan Fang must be in the cave as well. Master, with your current strength, I'm afraid. How do you know if you don't try? Let's kill him first. After Chen Hao finished speaking, he quietly followed. Master, he must have a communication talisman and a positioning disc on him. Kill him in one blow. Don't give him any chance to spread the news. Ito Ta saw that Chen Hao had no intention of avoiding and hurriedly said. In terms of killing and robbing, this guy was definitely quite experienced. What is a positioning disc? Chen Hao asked. It had to be said that reading 10,000 books was not as good as traveling 10,000 miles. The sex information was very detailed, but it was impossible to record any details. There were still many things that Chen Hao needed to understand about this mystical world. It is the same as the teleportation talisman. It is a tool that the Sky Armament Pavilion condensed according to the Black Wind Ancient Cave. On the positioning disc of the same group, you can see the position of the others. In other words, as long as you get this guy's positioning disc, you can know the position of Fan Fang and the people he brought. Moreover, the positioning disc will mark many entrances and the routes of the detected areas. He. As long as the communication talisman is not exposed, Master can assassinate one by one except for Fan Fang. But you have to be fast. Otherwise, the positioning disc of the second person to be killed will not move. If you are not holding it and always together, it will arouse the suspicion of the other party. That's right. I originally wanted to have a big fight. In that case, I will leave it for later. Chen Hao said with a slight smile. Hiss. Blending into the world, the aura around him was restrained to the extreme. If it was in the arena, it could arouse the opponent's vigilance. But assassinating? Damn it, so many forks, looking for ghosts. Let's go to the third level quickly. When there were several forks in the road again, the disciple of the sword faction stopped and took out the positioning disc. Right at this moment, a sword light suddenly streaked across without a sound. Chapter 244. So dizzy. Why is it spinning? There was no reaction. There was not even the slightest intuition of impending death. This sword faction disciple was originally still staring at the positioning disc to see which entrance was closer. But suddenly, the positioning disc could not be seen. The scene in his eyes changed as it spun. Ah, he saw a headless corpse that looked very familiar. When he saw the person he was looking for sheathing his sword, his eyes widened. He realized something, but it was too late. He could only cry out in surprise in his heart, but he couldn't say it out loud. Darkness swallowed him. In your next life, remember to follow the right person, Chen Hao said coldly without the slightest bit of mercy. In fact, compared to Yuan Dao, he was already merciful. Because he did not use the vermilion bird seal to destroy his soul. Death was like blowing out a lamp. Chen Hao directly opened the storage ring that had lost its brand and had become an ownerless object. This is the teleportation talisman, positioning disc, and communication talisman. There are quite a lot of things. Chen Hao said. Yes. Don't just take the storage ring. Quickly keep the Jindan and check the corpse. There might be other gains. Especially these sect disciples, they usually have things like protective armor. There are also weapons and so on. Many times, there are unexpected gains. That makes sense. Like my heaven and earth ring, do others have many storage spaces that are integrated into the mind? If so, how do I take them out? Chen Hao asked as he worked. Don't worry about that. Your heaven and earth ring and 5 elements sword are a combination spiritual weapon. Individually, it is only a low-grade spiritual weapon. But when combined, it is a high-grade spiritual weapon. In addition, the 5 divine beasts are integrated into the 5 elements sword. At this moment, it is probably a supreme-grade spiritual weapon. There is still a huge room for improvement. Moreover, even a high-grade spiritual weapon may not have a storage space. The heaven and earth ring can only be considered an exception. At least for Jindan disciples, they probably don't have such a powerful spiritual weapon. Even if they do, after a person dies, their soul will leave the body and the spiritual weapon brand will be removed. It will also fall off by itself. Spiritual weapons were the general term for weapons and equipment that surpassed the category of ordinary metal. The materials used to refine them were precious, and they had formations that could increase attack and defense. A low-grade spirit artifact was extremely precious to disciples below the Xiantian realm, but to Golden Core realm experts, it was the most ordinary. However, for Golden Core disciples, even if they were ordinary sect disciples, it was very difficult for them to obtain a middle-grade spirit weapon. Most of them used the lower-grade spirit weapons that were given out by the sect. A high-grade spiritual artifact was even more impossible. Even for nascent soul realm experts, it was very rare. Of course, the super geniuses that the sect focused on nurturing might be an exception. Geniuses with great luck might also be an exception. Those that surpassed superior grade spirit artifacts were earth rank and heaven rank spirit artifacts. These were even rarer. Right at this moment, Treasure Hunter's sword spirit suddenly appeared and spoke in Chen Hao's mind. With me here, would you still have to worry about missing any treasures? Are you done? Chen Hao was pleasantly surprised. After stepping into the Golden Core realm, Chen Hao had always been thinking about tempering the mysterious existence in his mind. Even when he was in the 7 Stars Grotto Heaven, he was still thinking about it. However, Treasure Hunter's sword spirit told him that they still needed some time, and that they could just wait for them to finish. Up until now, Treasure Hunting sword spirit had not appeared. If it's not good, can I come out? When you have time to cultivate, you can start tempering. Treasure Hunter's sword spirit said. Okay. Chen Hao's face shone with a hint of anticipation as he said. Without wasting any time, after a short conversation, Chen Hao picked up the positioning disc and studied it carefully for a moment. The positioning disc was covered with dense and thin golden lines. From the curved shape of the golden lines and the number annotations, it could be seen that this was the map of the ancient Black Wind Cave. This bigger green dot is where I am. The other smaller green dots are where Fan Fong and the others are. The dark areas outside the red warning line are the areas that have not been detected. They are also the areas that are beyond the range of the teleportation talisman, right? Yes, that's right. Those flashing white dots are the entrances to the next level. The positioning disc only shows the map of the level you are on and your teammates. There are still 3 people on the first level who are approaching the entrance to the second level. They are not far in a straight line, but if you want to chase after them, it will be too late. It will take at least 30 to 40,000 miles to catch up. See you on the second level then. Chen Hao said. Hiss. Chen Hao turned into a stream of light and flew toward the nearest entrance to the second level. Ah! Not long after Chen Hao left, several figures appeared at the place where Chen Hao had killed the disciple of the sword faction as fast as lightning. Coincidentally, he saw a headless corpse that had been gnawed by several demonic beasts. The corpse's white bones were exposed, and some pieces of meat hung on it. Not far away, there was a skull rolling. It was obvious that it had just been gnawed clean. The extremely valiant robe of the flying sword school disciple had also been turned into pieces and scattered around. A piece with the symbol of the sword faction embroidered on it was still shining with a faint light. Isn't that the disciple of the sword faction? Senior Brotherly, it seems that the battle has begun. Amazing. He just died, no more than a minute ago. Otherwise, the corpse would have been gnawed clean. I just don't know who it is. But Fan Fong and the others are at least at the middle stage of the Golden Elixir realm, which is the same realm as Chen Hao. Another disciple said. Chen Hao's talent and battle strength are very terrifying. Although he is the runner-up of the 100 Empire ranking, he is not inferior to the champion at all. In fact, he is even stronger. Otherwise, he would not have been snatched by so many high-level sects. Although the Star-Picking sect is 1 grade lower than our Thunder Valley, they have the 7-star Grotto Heaven, which is suitable for outer disciples to cultivate. This Chen Hao might have comprehended a lot of heavenly Tao laws in there. These people were the disciples that Fan Fong had asked about at the entrance. Except for Senior Brotherly, who was at the late stage of the Golden Elixir realm, the others were at the middle stage and early stage of the Golden Elixir realm. Chen Hao was already very deep. Although the entrance to Ito Ta's memory had disappeared, the new entrance was not far away. After only an hour, a shining energy vortex appeared in front of Chen Hao. It was like a circular door of light, with a diameter of 10 feet. Hiss! Chen Hao did not stop. He stepped in, and the light dimmed as his body merged into it. This Black Wind ancient cave is too big. There are 14 of us and 14 of us. It is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Moreover, he did not buy a transmission talisman or positioning talisman. Even if he wants to kill others to get them, it will take some time. Why don't we? Fuck his mother. On the second level of the Black Wind ancient cave, a figure was flying at an astonishing speed. The surrounding low-level demonic beasts sensed his aura and quickly avoided him. They were afraid that they would be killed if they were too slow. This figure was Fan Fong, who had entered the second level first. Fan Fong activated all 13 communication talismans and transmitted his voice into them. Don't look for him. Go straight to the third level. Look at the positioning disc. Try not to repeat the entrance. When you reach the third level, guard the entrance. That kid will come in sooner or later. If there is a situation, inform me immediately. Yes, Senior Brother. Instantly, the 12 disciples of the sword faction, including Chen Hao, responded when they sensed the fluctuation of the communication talismans. The communication talismans came in pairs. They were useless after one use. Naturally, they would respond. However, Chen Hao had changed his voice to imitate the disciple he had killed. Although there were discrepancies, if one did not listen carefully, Fan Fong would not have noticed. Fan Fong indeed did not notice. After notifying them, he sped up again and rushed to the nearest entrance. More than 2 hours later, Fan Fong arrived at the entrance to the third level. He glanced at the positioning disc and saw that the others were quickly approaching the nearest entrance. He stepped into the light door. This idiot. I was still having a headache about how to kill a few more. He just stretched his neck out. On the second level, Chen Hao deliberately kept his speed about the same as the others. He quickly approached the nearest entrance to the third level. It was impossible not to be excited. Originally, if Chen Hao had killed 2 or 3 people, they would have noticed. But now, they were all guarding the entrance. This was simply courting death. At this moment, Chen Hao also found out how many people Fan Fong had brought. Including the one he had killed, there were 14 of them. In a flash of light, Chen Hao appeared on the third level of the ancient Black Wind Cave. Whoosh, a cold demonic wind blew. The entire space was filled with a demonic aura that was many times stronger than on the first and second levels. On the third level, even the weakest demonic beast was at the golden elixir stage. Every entrance would teleport one to the edge of the third level. Demonic beasts were relatively rare and of lower levels. According to the positioning disc, as long as one followed a specific route, they would be able to avoid most of the demonic beasts and quickly arrive at the safe zone at the core of the explored area. The safe zone was the palace in the cave that Ito Ta said demonic beasts could not enter. After Chen Hao took out the positioning disc, he frowned slightly. He found that the light that represented Fan Fong and the others were not guarding the entrance. Instead, they were rushing to the safe zone at the core. Of the other 12 people, 6 had already stepped into the third level. They stopped at the entrance and did not move. Obviously, they were following Fan Fong's orders. The one heading to the core should be Fan Fong. Chen Hao thought for a while and guessed that the light should be Fan Fong. The others should not have disobeyed his orders. Then what was Fan Fong doing in the safe zone? There are 83 entrances on the positioning map alone. It will not be easy to guard me. Since this guy is going to the core, is he looking for help? Or is he looking for a bounty? Very likely. The corners of Chen Hao's mouth revealed a wisp of a strategist's smile. After memorizing the route to the nearest teleportation point of the Flying Sword sect disciple in his mind, he directly threw the positioning disc to a relatively hidden corner. His figure flashed, and his speed was raised to the limit. The aura around his body was also released without restraint, and it pressured the low-level early-stage Golden Core stage demon beasts to the point that they all avoided him. Chapter 245. These high-level demonic beasts had extremely high intelligence. Even though they could sense that Chen Hao was only at the middle stage of the Golden Elixir realm, his terrifying aura let them know that the human in front of them was not someone they could fight against. A quarter of an hour, half an hour, 1 person died. 2 hours later, 2 people died. Every time Chen Hao killed someone, he would loot their golden elixir and their belongings. After locking on to the next target through the compass, he would throw them into a hidden corner. In a short time, as long as Fan Fong did not withdraw his order to wait, he would not be able to detect Chen Hao's movements. Just as Chen Hao was flying toward the third person, the communication talismans he obtained from the 3 disciples of the Sword Clan vibrated at the same time. Which one of you left the entrance? Fan Fong's sullen voice reached Chen Hao's ears. I was discovered so quickly. Chen Hao suddenly stopped and thought to himself. Needless to say, someone must have picked up the compass. This time, even if Chen Hao wanted to get away with it, there was no way he could. Other than the first guy, who he heard, the other two people he just killed did not hear anything at all. And there was a female disciple, how could he imitate? Compass, 14 people's compass. What are these people doing at the entrance? A figure appeared at the entrance where Chen Hao had killed the second disciple of the Flying Sword School. Relying on his senses that were several times stronger than ordinary people, he easily discovered the positioning disc that Chen Hao had thrown in a hidden place. The figure frowned slightly and said, "Those who can enter here must be in the Golden Elixir realm. If they dare to guard the entrance, they must be dealing with someone. If that's the case, they should not be in the early stage of the Golden Elixir realm." They were killed without a sound. This sneak attack. Could it be Lang Yihan? He should have been in the ancient Black Wind cave for 2 days. It's very possible. Humph. It's best if someone kills you. He is only in the middle stage of the Golden Elixir realm, but he stole all my thunder. If not for that sneak attack, how could I lose to him? This figure was the inner disciple of the Myriad Elixir Pavilion, Nye Wanshan, ranked first among the top 10 masters. But this first place was in the past. Because now, Lang Yihan was the number 1 master in the inner sect of the Myriad Pill Pavilion. Even though Lang Yihan was only in the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. If Nye Wanshan had lost to Lang Yihan fair and square, he would not have hated Lang Yihan so much. Because in terms of absolute power, Lang Yihan was no match for him at all. He had relied entirely on his strange stealth skills and sneak attacks to injure him severely. Only then did he win by luck. Plus, the sect's protection of Lang Yihan made him very unhappy. This time, he followed Lang Yihan quietly, waiting for an opportunity to kill him. If he made a move, he would definitely be discovered by the pavilion master, because Lang Yihan's body had already been imprinted with the seal of life and death. However, he didn't care because he knew very well that dead geniuses were no longer geniuses. As long as he could kill him, even the pavilion master would not sentence him to death. At most, he would only suffer a temporary punishment, but in exchange, he would regain his glory and status. Given his talent, there was no way the sect would give up on him. However, if he could borrow someone else's hand to kill Lang Yihan, that would be the best. Therefore, he took the positioning disc with him. Although he was only guessing that it might be Lang Yihan, he was not sure. But he would rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let one go. Even if it was not Lang Yihan, it would be someone unrelated to him. So what if he ruined his good deed? Senior brotherly, there really is a positioning disc. At almost the same time, when Chen Hao stepped into the entrance of the 3rd floor, several disciples of Thunder Valley also rushed to the 3rd floor. These people were undoubtedly the ones who knew the most about Fan Fong and Lang Yihan. In fact, they were just speculating out of curiosity. So, after stepping into the 3rd floor, they found a positioning disc in a hidden corner. They really are all guarding the entrance. Only one is in the core safe area. That should be Fan Fong, right? Just leave it there and don't move. Senior brotherly, can't we help the sword sect? Maybe we can get some benefits. Is life more important or benefits more important? We can be curious about this kind of thing, but we can only wait and see. The sword sect is strong, and Fan Fong is a super genius, but you can't understand how dangerous Chen Hao is. Although I have only seen the power he displayed when he was a low-level cultivator. Okay, let's go. Our business is to gain experience. Remember, no matter what happens in the future, as long as it has nothing to do with you, it's best not to interfere. For small benefits, you may pay with your life. Oh, how is that possible? 3. Shi Baihui, Chang Yan, and Yao Anhua. Did something happen to them? Was it Chen Hao or someone else? Impossible. Yao Anhua is in the late Golden Elixir realm, and Chen Hao is only in the middle Golden Elixir realm. How could he kill them silently? Fan Fong's face was ugly, and a strong murderous aura spread from his body. His face became ferocious and terrifying. 3 of the 13 communication talismans he sent out had not been answered. What did that mean? The cultivators in the palace in the cave felt Fan Fong's ferocious and terrifying aura, and they all kept quiet out of fear. The disciples who were about to leave their rooms to gain experience stopped dead in their tracks, not daring to show their faces. Some of the disciples of the higher-level sects were fine. Although Fan Fong was terrifying, they had the backing of their sects and were not afraid. But some of the rogue cultivators were scared out of their wits, and were afraid that they would become the target of Fan Fong's wrath. In the world of cultivation, strength was supreme, and killing people was like killing chickens. Especially in this kind of treasured training ground, one could die at any time. Fan Fong, who had arrived here in advance, had bought off dozens of rogue cultivators in the late Golden Elixir realm at a low price, and they all dared to go to the other 3 entrances. If anyone could find Chen Hao and inform him, or capture him, they would be rewarded handsomely. Hiss! Fan Fong did not waste any time. His body turned into a stream of light and rushed out at an astonishing speed. If it was Chen Hao, he would have been exposed. But at this moment, he was sure that Chen Hao was rushing to the nearest entrance. Even if Chen Hao wanted to escape, there was a certain range. With his half-step nascent soul strength, he believed that it would be easy to find Chen Hao. Let's go and have a look. He must have found the super genius Chen Hao of the star-picking sect. Super genius? He is just the runner-up of the 100 Empire ranking. And he has the help of the 7-star cave heaven of the star-picking sect. He is nothing compared to Fan Fong. Fan Fong reached the peak of the late Golden Elixir realm in 2 years with his own talent. Whether he is a genius or not, we will know when we see him. Unfortunately, whether he is or not, he is going to die. Let's go and have a look. Fan Fong is known as a super genius second only to the 8th rank sections. I really want to see him. After Fan Fong flew out of the core safety zone palace, countless cultivators followed him out of the enormous hall. Although they did not know what information Fan Fong had obtained, they knew that it had something to do with Chen Hao. This was because all the cultivators in the hall knew that Fan Fong was looking for Chen Hao. After hundreds of cultivators followed Fan Fong, in a room on the 2nd floor of the palace, a figure muttered to himself. Then, mysterious rays of light rose from his body. Hiss! Who is that? Countless cultivators who were chasing after Fan Fong suddenly saw a young girl in a long blue dress. She had a graceful figure and a black veil over her face. Her speed was astonishing. I don't think I have seen such a beautiful safety zone before. Although the black veil covered the girl's face, one could still vaguely see the outline of her face and her beautiful eyes. Many cultivators were shocked and their minds were captivated. What an obscure aura. I can't even sense her cultivation level. When did such a mysterious girl appear in the cultivation world? A cultivator who was at the peak of the late Golden Elixir stage was slightly older and had rich experience. He was shocked. With his knowledge, he knew all the disciples who were slightly famous in the cultivation world. Chen Hao pondered for a moment, and his expression gradually turned cold. A surge of fighting spirit also began to soar. Looking at the 3 communication talismans that had already died, Chen Hao took a deep breath and directly took out a communication talisman that was still in good condition. Master, what are you doing? Ito Ta asked, slightly surprised. I want to see the power of a half-step nascent soul stage cultivator. Since I have been discovered, there is no need to continue. If you want to fight, let's fight. Chen Hao's handsome face shone with coldness and arrogance as he said in a low voice. So what if he was famous in the Jiaxing sect? If he wanted to rise quickly, he had to strike in a high-profile way. Men were afraid of fame and pigs were afraid of being fat. A true powerhouse had to stand at the cusp of the storm and become a true trendsetter who was not afraid of any challenge. After that, Chen Hao directly activated the communication talisman and said, Fan Fong, right? Wait for me in the safe area. What? It's really you. Bastard, do you think I will believe you? Let me tell you, no matter where you are, you can't escape from my hands. This time, you are dead. Idiot, I want to run. How can you catch me? If you want to waste your energy, then waste it. See you in the safe area. Don't let me wait too long, my patience is limited. Chen Hao said disdainfully. After that, he directly turned into a stream of light and followed the route that had been memorized to the core safe area as fast as lightning. He's crazy. Itoda said in horror. Chen Hao's tone made him dare not question. But Chen Hao's actions made him very worried. Even if he already knew a lot about Chen Hao, he did not think that Chen Hao, who was only at the middle stage of Golden Core, had the ability to fight against Chen Hao, who was half a step away from nascent soul. In his opinion, Chen Hao's confidence was too inflated. One must know that there was always someone better than you. Especially Fan Fong, who was not as simple as an ordinary half a step away from nascent soul. He was a super genius who could challenge those of a higher level. P.S. I feel guilty and dare not ask for votes. I will definitely speed up the update next week. Definitely, definitely. There is nothing I can do this week. Especially this weekend, there may be more tragedies in the next 2 days. Everyone, please bear with it. Chapter 246. Humph, do you think I'm an idiot? Fan Fong replied again. His body did not stop at all. The powerful senses of a half-step nascent soul realm cultivator spread out. With his keen senses, he determined the possible escape routes and directions of Chen Hao within a radius of several hundred miles and quickly chased after him. 4 hours later, Fan Fong's face was livid. He took a deep breath, turned around, and quickly headed for the safety zone. He was full of confidence, but he was infuriated by Chen Hao in their first encounter. After 4 hours, he didn't sense any aura of Chen Hao, but he received a message from Chen Hao again. Safety zone. Why did he go back? The beautiful girl in a blue dress with a black veil covering her face was one of the few experts who could keep up with Fan Fong's speed. She was slightly surprised when she found that Fan Fong had stopped moving forward and was instead heading back quickly. Some of the cultivators who were following behind and waiting to watch a good show also turned around and headed back. Is this the palace in the cave? Chen Hao suddenly appeared at the entrance of the huge palace in the core safety zone like a breeze. This was a huge space with a radius of thousands of miles and a height of tens of thousands of feet. There was a huge circular palace complex in the core area, which was emitting an ancient and cold aura. Ah! Just as Chen Hao was staring at the palace and feeling slightly shocked, a woman's scream came from far behind him. It was very soft and obviously hundreds of miles away, but it didn't escape Chen Hao's sharp perception. Bang! 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 In a moment, the sound of mountains shaking and the earth shaking came closer. A terrifying aura of a demonic beast gradually became clear. What a powerful demonic beast! Chen Hao was slightly surprised and turned around. 2 silhouettes were flying toward the palace at a speed several times faster than the speed of sound. 10 miles behind them, a crimson demonic beast that was even taller than a small mountain was following. It looked like it was made of underground lava, and each step it took covered several thousand meters. Obviously, it was getting closer and closer to the 2 cultivators in front of it. Junior sister, don't be afraid. Hang in there. We'll reach the safety zone soon. Ah. Senior brother Duan, don't worry about me, it's too late. Ah, a female disciple at the very back was being grabbed by a young man. She was running for her life, her mouth full of blood. Even her clothes had countless black holes that looked like they had been burned, revealing her protective armor. Even so, the 2 of them were emitting a burnt smell. This was especially true for the youth who had used his body to block the attack. His back was completely black. Their auras were clearly at the peak of the late golden elixir realm. The young man, in particular, was half a step away from the nascent soul realm. However, the demonic beast they encountered was too strong. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that a red flame beast would appear in a region that was clearly suitable for a peak late-stage golden core realm cultivator to cultivate. The red flame beast's battle prowess was close to that of an early nascent soul realm expert. Even if an early nascent soul stage expert encountered him, he would be forced to retreat. It had a huge body that seemed to be made of magma. Even if it was chopped into pieces, it could still regenerate its body. It was one of the legendary immortal demonic beasts that contained a pure immortal bloodline. Its speed was also as abnormal as that of an early nascent soul stage expert. Out of the 8 of them, only the 2 of them were still alive. Initially, they had scattered in all directions to escape. Even so, the others were killed one by the red flame beast and burned into ashes. What a terrifying demonic aura! The tremors of the earth and mountains, as well as the demonic aura that covered thousands of miles, alerted the cultivators who were immersed in cultivation in the palaces hundreds of miles away. One by one, they flew out of the palaces with a shocked expression on their faces. Help! The young girl let out a sharp, loud, terrified, and hopeful cry. What was so close yet worlds apart? This was called. They were about to escape into the safety zone of the palaces, but the red flame beast was getting closer and closer. According to the red flame beast's attack range, they would be finished in another 4 breaths. When the young girl saw the cultivators flying out of the palaces, she called for help. Although she did not have much hope, this was because the cultivators here were only golden core stage experts. Who could stop them? Even if they could stop them for a moment, who would help them? I'm Ling Tian Sex Duan Yufei. I'll give 10 million level 8 spirit pills to whoever saves my junior sister. My junior sister is the direct descendant of the Ling Tian Sex sect leader, Xia Lan Lan. The heavily injured young man was completely relying on his willpower to support himself. The young man who was well versed in the ways of the world did not cry for help like the young girl. Even so, no one was willing to joke around with their own lives. No matter how many spirit pills there were, they would not be able to enjoy them if they lost their lives. Who was Duan Yufei? He was the super genius who was ranked 9th among the inner court disciples of the grade 9 sect, Ling Tian sect. He had long stepped into the half-step nascent soul stage. Even he was running for his life. Most of the people present were at the intermediate and mastery stage of the golden core stage. There were only a few at the peak of the mastery stage of the golden core stage. Who would dare to go up? The red flame beast's breath could burn them into ashes. When he saw the 2 of them, Chen Hao had already merged with heaven and earth. Although he did not have the thought that saving a life was better than a 7-story pagoda, if he could save 2 lives by lifting his hand, Chen Hao still did not mind. Not to mention, the young man was so protective of a woman that it was worth Chen Hao to do so. Of course, Chen Hao was not sure if he could kill the red flame beast. Moreover, now was not the time. A great battle that he had no confidence in was still waiting for him. However, the safety zone was right in front of him. Blocking it for a while was not the slightest problem. But, the young man's words caused Chen Hao to be slightly stunned. Ling Tian sect, Xia Lan Lan. Could it be that she was Yu Yu's sister? Junior sister, goodbye. Save her. Duan Yufei looked at the indifferent crowd that was only 100 miles away. He did not dare hesitate, nor did he have the time to hesitate. Suddenly, he looked deeply at the young girl and said with determination. Without giving the young girl time to react, he suddenly swung his arm and used all his strength to throw the young girl away. Hiss. Ah. No. The young girl realized something and screamed in terror and despair. 7-star alignment, break. A clear voice could be heard all of a sudden. The young man who had completely given up on resisting and exhausted his last bit of strength was falling. His eyes were filled with affection, anxiety, and anticipation as he stared at the red figure that was rapidly approaching the palace. He did not think that he was already in a dead end. His only hope was that Xia Lanlan could survive and be rescued by others into the palace. However, at this moment, a clear and cold voice sounded in his ears. Immediately, he felt his body being forcefully thrown away. At the same time, he saw a dazzling and mysterious sword gleam. The energy was not strong. In fact, it was far inferior to his. However, the profound and incomparably sharp and indestructible aura contained in this sword gleam shocked him. Buzz! Buzz! Ah! Screams erupted from the palace, from the mouths of the cultivators who were holding or carrying swords on their backs. Their swords actually showed signs of being unsheathed uncontrollably. However, what shocked them even more was that at this moment, the terrifying red flame beast collided with the sword gleam that contained shocking sword intent. Boom! The earth shook and the mountains shook. The mountain-like red flame beast was actually split into two. Like a collapsing mountain, it rumbled and collapsed to both sides. The lava-like body instantly dyed the sky red, like the magma of a volcano erupting. How is this possible? So strong, who could be so strong? Is this an expert of the nascent soul stage? Voices filled with shock and disbelief exploded in the palace. The cultivators who originally wanted to take advantage of the momentary opportunity that Duan Yufei had exchanged his life for to save Xia Lanlan in exchange for a huge sum of money had all forgotten to do so, dumbfounded. Hiss! A gust of wind blew past. Duan Yufei, who had not yet landed on the ground, was also grabbed by his clothes in shock. Then, Xia Lanlan, who had fallen less than 50 miles away from the palace, was also grabbed by someone and flew to the palace as fast as lightning. Senior brother. Xia Lanlan shouted weakly. Thank you. Duan Yufei did not answer Xia Lanlan. He looked at Chen Hao with difficulty and said. Everyone stared blankly at the young man in a white robe who was flying to the palace as fast as lightning. Ah, it's Chen Hao. It's Chen Hao. It's exactly the same as the portrait that Fan Fong took out. Too strong. What a terrifying sword intent, what a terrifying sword. Is he really only at the middle stage of the Golden Core stage? Who is Chen Hao? Some people who were just immersed in cultivation did not see the scene when Fan Fong arrived. After hearing someone call out his name, they could not help but ask. Chen Hao is the runner-up who tied with the champion of the 100 Empire rankings 2 years ago. Just now, the super genius of the sword faction, Fan Fong, went out to kill him, so strong. An early-stage Golden Core stage disciple, who knew the whole process but did not have the strength to follow and watch the show, stared at the rapidly approaching Chen Hao with eyes full of surprise and explained. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Chen Hao, who was flying over with one hand in each hand. Those who knew him and those who did not, without exception, were shocked beyond words. Because at this moment, they all clearly sensed Chen Hao's aura. He was only at the middle stage of the Golden Core stage, not the nascent soul stage master they had imagined. Roar! Just as everyone was shocked, the huge body of the red flame beast condensed again in the blink of an eye and burst out with a roar that resounded through heaven and earth. Retreat quickly. All the practitioners who were swarming at the entrance of the palace suddenly had no time to be shocked and retreated into the palace in horror. Chen Hao took 2 people into the palace in time. Bang! 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 In 2 breaths, the red flame beast approached the palace. Knowing that it was impossible for the red flame beast to enter the palace, these practitioners were still scared out of their wits. Roar! Roar! Boom! The red flame beast, whose dignity had been challenged, rushed over crazily, but when it reached the entrance of the palace, it was directly rebounded by a mysterious and terrifying light. Its huge body rolled for dozens of miles before it stood up and roared crazily. In a moment, it rushed to the entrance of the palace again, but this time, it did not dare to approach. Instead, he roared angrily at the palace, especially Chen Hao. Weekly, I will update twice today. Chapter 247. Some of the cultivators were still shocked by the roaring red flame beast that was guarding the only entrance of the safe zone. Its mountain-like body cut off the chance for anyone to get in or out. Oh no, this red flame beast is guarding the entrance. We can't even go out to train, how long can it guard us? Those who have returned from training outside must be worse than us. Junior brother, junior sister, when tomorrow noon comes, I will activate the transmission talisman and go out first. Ah. Senior brother, what are you going to do? We have only been here for a month, this beast won't guard us for too long, right? It's best if you don't leave. I will go out and send the news back to the sect. This is a red flame beast with immortal bloodline. If you can kill it and extract its blood essence, it will be priceless. It is definitely more precious than a high-grade spiritual weapon. Even a nascent soul stage master can't really kill it. Others must have the same idea. However, our sect is the closest to here. As long as one of the inner elders comes, it will be enough. It's just 100,000 level 8 spirit pills. As long as you send the news back, you can buy a few as a reward. If you can get the blood essence of the red flame beast, the reward will be even greater. Many experienced cultivators with higher cultivation bases had the same idea. However, they could only wait until noon tomorrow to activate the transmission talisman, and it only lasted for a quarter of an hour. After all, the giant transmission array built by the Heavenly Armament Pavilion consumed a lot of energy to operate once. It could not be operated all the time. Otherwise, Duan Yufei, Xia Lanlan and the others would not be in such a desperate situation. They could just activate the transmission talisman. Chen Hao ignored the shocked eyes and the buzzing discussions of the crowd. He took Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan who had fallen into a coma and quickly flew into the depths of the palaces. The palaces in the safe zone could not be entered at will. Different levels of strength could only enter the palaces of different levels. If one's strength was not enough, the gate of the palace would not open. Once someone entered, the gate would be closed. No matter how strong one was, they could not open it. It was absolutely safe to cultivate in seclusion here. This was also the reason why all the cultivators dared to gather together. Otherwise, the safe zone would be filled with blood and flesh. Who would come here? Chen Hao already knew the situation from Itoda. It wasn't until they reached the front of a huge palace in the core area that Chen Hao stopped in front of everyone's gasps. He sent out a beam of energy and suspended the two unconscious people in the air. Then, he pressed his palm against the door, and a majestic energy surged out. Rumble. Without giving the crowd much time to speculate, the palace doors rumbled open with a resplendent light. Chen Hao's figure flashed, and he took a step in with the two of them. Soon after, the door of the palace slowly closed, and silence was restored. Too powerful, awesome. Who would have thought that Chen Hao, who was only in the middle stage of the golden elixir realm, would have such strength? It was unbelievable. That sword strike from before was sufficient to prove that he possessed the combat strength of an expert at the peak of the late-stage golden core realm. Moreover, he was a super genius. Otherwise, it would be absolutely impossible for him to slash the red flame beast apart with a single strike. Now, being able to enter this palace was sufficient to show that his true essence was dense to the peak of the advanced stage of the golden core realm. Moreover, he's also a super genius. That's right. I've been here for half a year, and that row of palaces can only be opened by a few disciples at the peak of the late-stage golden core realm. He's rich. This Chen Hao saved Xia Lanlan, the granddaughter of the Ling Tian sect leader. I'm afraid it's not as simple as the reward of medicinal pills, right? Moreover, there's also the super genius disciple of the Ling Tian sect, Duan Yufei. I'm so jealous. What's the use of being jealous? Cultivate diligently. If we have such strength, we'll be the ones who'll be rich. It's hard to say whether we'll be rich or not. Even if we're rich, we'll still have to be alive to enjoy it, right? Chen Hao's strength is not bad, but don't forget that Fan Fang is looking for him. I'm afraid it won't be long before he gets the news. The crowd discussed animatedly. Chen Hao's strength was undoubtedly shocking. Slicing the crimson flame beast with a sword and blasting open the palace that could only be opened by a super genius at the peak of the advanced stage of the Golden Core realm with a palm was enough to shock everyone present. However, it did not mean that Chen Hao was more powerful than Fan Fang. As for Duan Yufei whom he saved, in everyone's opinion, he was not someone Chen Hao could compare to. One must know that although Duan Yufei had almost died, it was absolutely astonishing that he was able to bring Xia Lanlan and escape to this place. The reason Chen Hao could save them was entirely because of the safety zone. If there was no safety zone, no matter how strong Chen Hao was, how many times could he cut the Crimson Flame Beast? How many times could he withstand the Crimson Flame Beast's attacks? A genius disciple of a grade 9 sect possessed ultimate techniques and combat strength. Not to mention grade 6 and grade 7 sects, even grade 8 sects could not be compared to them. This was because the gap between grade 1 and grade 8 sects had a certain value as the grade increased. However, there was a huge gap between grade 8 and grade 9 sections. It was not something that could be measured by the gap between grade 7 and grade 8 sections. In the entire eastern continent, there were thousands of sects, but only 10 of them could reach grade 9. They were the best in the world and were the leaders. Even if Ling Tian's sect was slightly weaker among grade 9 sects, they could barely catch up with grade 8 sections. They could not be compared at all. Therefore, even Xia Lanlan who was at the peak of the advanced stage of the Golden Core realm was much stronger than Chen Hao, let alone Duan Yufei who was a super genius in Ling Tian's sect who was ranked 9th. Even Fan Fang who was a grade 6 sect super genius might not be stronger than Xia Lanlan. After stepping into the palace, Chen Hao took out 2 healing pills that Yuan Tairan had given him and stuffed them into their mouths. Then, he urged his mind to wake the 2 unconscious people up. Immediately, Xia Lanlan and Duan Yufei regained consciousness. However, their severely injured and weak bodies did not listen to him at all. They could only force their eyes open. Your lives are saved. Heal your injuries yourselves. As for my reward, just give it to me when you've recovered. I believe that a genius disciple of a grade 9 sect won't go back on his word. Chen Hao said calmly. Don't worry. Thank you. Duan Yufei said weakly with a hint of gratitude in his eyes. Xia Lanlan originally had a look of gratitude, but after hearing Chen Hao's words, there was an obvious change in her expression. Although there was no disdain, there was no gratitude either. He had only saved her for the reward. You're welcome. I'm just doing it for the reward you mentioned, Chen Hao said calmly. Initially, when he decided to save them, he did not think about the reward. However, after knowing their identities, he had to accept the reward. Proud and unyielding, he didn't want to be associated with flattery. Especially the people from Ling Tian's sect, he could not. May I ask? How should I address you, brother? Star-picking sect, Chen Hao. Alright, heal yourselves, Chen Hao said directly since he knew he could not hide it anymore. He was about to walk out of the palace as he spoke. Hearing Chen Hao's name and sect, Xia Lanlan's eyes were filled with shock as she stared at Chen Hao. Brother Chen, wait. Duan Yufei said. Chen Hao stopped and turned around to ask, is there anything else? I can give you the reward now. You can take everything in my storage ring. It's definitely worth more than 10 million grade 8 spirit pills. Brother Chen, please give one of the little nirvana pills to my junior sister. Duan Yufei said strenuously. At the same time, he activated the remaining energy in his dantian to refine the healing medicine that Chen Hao had injected into his dantian. He could feel that the healing medicine was not bad, but it was too weak for his and Xia Lanlan's injuries. It was not enough to describe him and Xia Lanlan as being on the brink of death. Not only were their bodies severely injured, but their energy was almost completely depleted as well. With Chen Hao's medicine, it would take at least a few months for them to fully recover. Hearing Duan Yufei's words, a faint blush appeared on Xia Lanlan's pale face. She naturally knew how precious the little nirvana pill was. In the sect, only the top 10 disciples in the inner sect would be rewarded with a healing medicine by the sect leader. However, she did not reject it. Because as the granddaughter of the sect leader, she also had one. Little nirvana pill. Chen Hao was slightly taken aback as he stared at Duan Yufei and said, "You're telling me this now, aren't you afraid that I will kill you and swallow the little nirvana pill?" "You shouldn't be afraid. A grade 9 sect is not something that our little star-picking sect can offend. Furthermore, so many people have seen it. But, if you're a little more discreet, it seems that it's possible to make one of you die from serious injuries. You, Chen Hao, you are actually this kind of person." Hearing Chen Hao's words, Xia Lanlan did not know where the strength came from, but she actually stared fiercely at Chen Hao and called him by his name with an extremely strange expression. "Junior sister, don't misunderstand. Brother Chen Hao is not that kind of person." Before Chen Hao could say anything, Duan Yufei stopped him and said, "Brother Chen, please." Although Chen Hao felt that Xia Lanlan's gaze was a little strange, he did not suspect her. He smiled slightly and did not continue to threaten the two as he directly channeled his energy into Duan Yufei's body. Duan Yufei borrowed Chen Hao's energy to activate the storage ring, and a jade bottle emitting a milky white light immediately floated in front of Chen Hao. "Brother Chen, I have already erased the imprint on the storage ring. Take it." "Thank you," Duan Yufei said. Chen Hao smiled slightly and opened the jade bottle first. With a thought, a fiery red crystal pill flew into Xia Lanlan's mouth. Immediately, without needing Chen Hao to do anything, rays of red light rose from Xia Lanlan's body and a strong medicinal fragrance immediately filled the entire space. At this time, Chen Hao took off the storage ring on Duan Yufei's hand. "The little nirvana pill is really not bad." Chen Hao did not look at the things in Duan Yufei's storage ring and directly kept it. He stared at Xia Lanlan, who had already sunk into extreme pain, and said softly with a complicated expression in his eyes. He could sense that Xia Lanlan's injuries were quickly recovering and would definitely be completely healed in less than an hour. But at this moment, his mind was thinking of the devastatingly beautiful Xia Yuyu. Not long ago, he had almost been killed by Xia Yuyu's shock. It was because he had swallowed Xia Yuyu's nirvana pill, a nirvana pill that was countless times more precious than the little nirvana pill. Lightly shaking his head, Chen Hao turned around and stepped out of the palace. Chapter 248. Roar! 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 The moment Chen Hao stepped out of the palace, the roaring flame beast guarding the entrance of the safe zone roared even louder. Obviously, this monster had been paying attention to Chen Hao from dozens of miles away. So vengeful and powerful. With this guy guarding the entrance, I'm afraid no one will be able to enter or leave in a short time, except for me. Chen Hao's lips curled up slightly. When he saw that everyone's eyes were on him again, he hurriedly walked to the adjacent huge palace. After entering the palace, Chen Hao sat down cross-legged, took out Duan Yufei's storage ring, and immersed his mind into it. No wonder he's a super genius of a 9th-rank sect. What shocked Chen Hao was that Duan Yufei's high-grade storage ring was definitely of the highest quality. Generally speaking, high-grade storage rings were more than 10 meters square and were not fixed. The larger the space, the higher the price. As long as it was 10 meters square, it was considered a high-grade storage ring. However, the space in Duan Yufei's storage ring was 60 meters in length and 10 meters in height, which was equivalent to a small palace. Thousands of milky white crystals were neatly piled together. They were middle-grade primal crystal stones. Primal crystal stones could only be used when one entered the Khanate realm, which was the Saint realm. Even Khanate realm experts would only be willing to use them when they were breaking through the barrier. They were extremely precious. However, for Golden Elixir realm experts, primal crystal stones were essential for cultivation. They were much more precious than level 8 spiritual pills and the rarer level 9 spiritual pills. And this was in the case of lower-grade primal crystal stones. In theory, 100 level 8 spiritual pills or 10 level 9 spiritual pills could be exchanged for one lower-grade primal crystal stone. However, under normal circumstances, no one would be willing to exchange primal crystal stones for elixirs. This was because primal crystal stones were essential for cultivation for experts above the golden elixir realm. Using food as an analogy, level 8 and level 9 spiritual pills were simple meals, while primal crystal stones were delicious dishes. Middle-grade primal crystal stones were even more precious. One was equivalent to 10 lower-grade primal crystal stones, which was also theoretical. If one really wanted to exchange for elixirs, they could definitely exchange for 12. 5,500 mid-grade primal crystal stones are equivalent to 66,000 low-grade primal crystal stones. One low-grade primal crystal stone is equivalent to 100 level 8 spirit pills, which is equivalent to 6,600,000 level 8 spirit pills. In addition to the mid-grade primal crystal stones, there were nearly 13,000 low-grade primal crystal stones, 40,000 level 9 spirit pills, and 1,300,000 level 8 spirit pills. All of these added up to about 10 million level 8 spiritual pills. Moreover, there were countless large pieces of ores and other items that were obviously of great value in the storage ring. Even without careful calculation, Chen Hao knew that the value of Duan Yufei's storage ring far exceeded 10 million Tier 8 spirit pills, or even 20 million Tier 8 spirit pills. Phew, Chen Hao let out a long sigh, and a smile appeared on his face. Although he didn't expect to get a reward, he really got it. Especially when he saw such a shocking amount of wealth, Chen Hao suddenly felt that it was worth it. He deserved it, and he deserved it. Even if he was a little reluctant to take it, but they did it willingly, didn't they? It was a fair trade, wasn't it? I'm afraid Fan Fong will take at least 2 hours to come back. This red flame beast won't be able to stop him from coming in. I'll recover to my peak state first. Chen Hao didn't use much energy to save Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan, but he used at least 1/5 of his energy to cut the red flame beast in half. Facing Fan Fong, who was half a step away from the nascent soul stage, Chen Hao didn't dare to let his guard down. Taking a deep breath, Chen Hao took out a mid-grade primal crystal stone, pressed his palms on it, and began to refine and absorb the purer and more majestic energy within. Whoosh! Fan Fong's body moved like lightning, and he returned to the safe zone as fast as he could. Die, die, die. This time I'll chop this son of a bitch into meat paste and refine his soul. His soul will be destroyed, and he will never be reincarnated. I'll avenge my sister. And Tan Tai Lien, who hasn't come out yet. Fan Fong had suppressed his anger for 2 years, and the closer he got to the safe zone, the more intense it burned. However, he was still a little worried about whether Chen Hao's words were true or not. But he could only believe it for now, because he couldn't find Chen Hao. The beautiful girl in the blue dress was silent. Although Fan Fong, who was half a step away from the nascent soul stage, had increased his speed to the maximum, the girl's body was like a flickering shadow, and she always maintained the same distance from Fan Fong. However, the terrifying aura emanating from Fan Fong's body made the girl frown. Hey, what are you running for? A stream of light suddenly shot out from a fork in the road. Seeing that the figures had increased their speed to the maximum and were rushing toward the safe zone, this figure appeared beside a cultivator who was running wildly and asked condescendingly. What's the matter? Ah. We're chasing Fan Fong, the super genius of the flying sword sect, Fan Fong. The disciple was startled when he sensed the terrifying aura coming from the figure, and hurriedly answered truthfully. Fan Fong of the flying sword sect. Yes. We're just here to watch the fun. Fan Fong wants to kill Chen Hao of the star-picking sect, and that Chen Hao is also a super genius. Super genius my ass. After the figure understood what was going on, he said disdainfully, and then turned into a streak of light and sped away. Chen Hao, the runner-up of the 100 Empire ranking who tied with Lang Yihan. It said that he's good friends with Lang Yihan. Humph, he must be the one who killed the disciple of the flying sword sect. I'd like to see how powerful the little 100 Empire ranking is. This figure was none other than the inner disciple of the Myriad Pill Pavilion, Nye Wanshan, who ranked first among the top 10 experts. He was the guy who had moved the positioning disc and ruined Chen Hao's plan. At this moment, his handsome face flashed with a hint of viciousness. He had originally thought that it was Lang Yihan who had killed the disciple of the flying sword sect, but based on the current situation, it should be Chen Hao. Chen Hao, who was good friends with Lang Yihan. Naturally, he had to rush over to see if he could find Lang Yihan. With his strength increased again, he was confident that he could kill Lang Yihan here. What a beautiful girl, her strength is not bad either. With his astonishing speed, Nye Wanshan quickly overtook countless cultivators and caught up to the front. At this moment, he saw a graceful figure in a blue dress. Through the black veil, he could vaguely see the girl's beautiful face. Hiss. Suddenly increasing his speed again, Nye Wanshan appeared beside the beautiful girl like lightning. The girl frowned slightly, and a cold aura suddenly burst out. Hee. Miss, don't misunderstand. I'm Nye Wanshan, ranked first among the inner disciples of the Myriad Pill Pavilion. May I know your name? Nye Wanshan smiled slightly and said. The viciousness on his face had long disappeared without a trace. His eyes were bright and full of expression, and he did not hide his admiration for the beautiful girl at all. He cupped his fists in a cultured and elegant manner. Nye Wanshan was confident that with his reputation in the cultivation world and his handsome and elegant appearance, he would have no problem winning the favor of this beautiful girl. The first among the inner disciples of the Myriad Pill Pavilion seems to be Lang Yihan, right? What Nye Wanshan did not expect was that although the girl had put away her fighting spirit, there was a hint of sarcasm in her tone as she glanced at Nye Wanshan. Her voice was very pleasant, but it carried a chill that made one's hair stand on end. Nye Wanshan's face darkened. If anyone else dared to say this in front of him, he would have killed them with a slap. But now, he suppressed the anger in his heart and said with a smile, Miss, you're well informed. However, you probably don't know that Lang Yihan defeated me completely by relying on a despicable sneak attack, right? Hee. Lang Yihan also came to the Black Wind Ancient Cave. If nothing unexpected happens, you will soon know who is the real number one of the Myriad Pill Pavilion. With me, there will be no other. Is that so? Then I'm really looking forward to it. The girl said lightly, and in the depths of her beautiful eyes, an imperceptible chill flashed. May I know your name? Which high-level sect are you from? Nye Wanshan's face flashed with confidence as he asked again. Chen Shui, a loose cultivator, the girl said coldly. Good name. I didn't expect Miss Chen Shui to be a loose cultivator with such cultivation. What a pity. Miss Chen Shui, are you willing to join our Myriad Pill Pavilion? With Miss Chen Shui's age and cultivation, I only need to say a word, and the sect will definitely give you special treatment as an inner disciple. Sorry, I'm not interested in the sect. Hiss. After the beautiful girl finished speaking, she suddenly sped up. Obviously, she didn't want to be with Nie Wanshan. You're arrogant. Not bad. Nie Wanshan didn't care at all. He smiled and followed her again. Such a beautiful girl with such cultivation would definitely have countless suitors. If it was easy to get her, she would have become someone's cultivation partner long ago. He wouldn't have stayed until now. To Nie Wanshan, it was a great opportunity for him to meet her this time. How could he not be patient? Red Flame Beast? Fan Fang, who was rushing at full speed, sensed the terrifying aura of a demonic beast hundreds of miles away. He was originally wondering why there was such a terrifying demonic aura in the safety zone. When he got close, Fan Fang suddenly stopped. 300 miles away, he stared in horror at the mountain-like red flame beast blocking the entrance of the palace area. Roar! Roar! The terrifying roar of the beast seemed to contain monstrous anger. Phew! It's the red flame beast. How could it be here? The beautiful young woman and Nie Wanshan who had followed closely behind also revealed a trace of astonishment in their eyes as they thought to themselves. The three of them didn't dare to approach recklessly, and they all restrained their auras. They knew how terrifying the red flame beast was. Once it caught up, even they wouldn't be able to escape. Fortunately, this was the safety zone. It wouldn't be a problem for them to resist for a while and escape into the safety zone. However, what puzzled them was that the red flame beast clearly sensed their arrival, but it didn't rush over. It just guarded the entrance of the palace and roared angrily. While Fan Fang, Nie Wanshan, and the beautiful girl were hesitating, some cultivators had arrived one after another. They couldn't help but cry out in horror. I've been waiting for you. Fan Fang's face flashed with a hint of viciousness, and he suddenly rushed toward the entrance of the safety zone. Chapter 249. The more people there were, the more targets there would be. Fan Fang was sure that he could resist the red flame beast for a while, but if the red flame beast did not give him time to get into the safe zone and chased after him, it would be a tragedy. Fan Fang, who had already noticed the two experts behind him, did not take them into account. Because he knew that the beautiful woman's aura was extremely obscure, and her speed was definitely not inferior to his. The other expert who had just chased after him was Nie Wanshan. Fan Fang had known him for a long time, but they had not interacted with each other. He knew how strong Nie Wanshan was, and it was impossible to tell who would win before they really fought. Therefore, it was unlikely that these two people would become his scapegoats. But it was different now. Among the cultivators who came one after another, some who knew the terror of the red flame beast were fine, while others felt the terror of the red flame beast, but were not very afraid. In their opinion, with so many experts present, how could a demonic beast overturn the sky? Hiss! Fan Fang turned into a stream of light. His aura was still restrained, but his speed was not as fast as before. Sure enough, it was as he expected. Many cultivators who did not know the immortal body of the red flame beast saw Fan Fang rushing to meet it head-on, and immediately wanted to take advantage of the situation and follow him. Miss Chen Shui, let's go, we also, whoosh. The beautiful girl turned a deaf ear to the flies around her. She ignored them and directly turned into a streak of light. Obviously, she had already lost the most basic patience after being harassed by the flies for an hour without any sense of shame. Humph, what's there to be proud of? None of the women that I, Nie Wanshan, value can escape from my hands. You're just a rogue cultivator. If it weren't for the fact that you have some weight, I would have tolerated you a little longer. If you had crossed my bottom line, don't blame me for reversing the order and conquering your body first, then your heart. Nie Wanshan thought in his heart. Staring at the graceful blue dress, a touch of imperceptible lust flashed in his eyes. He took a step forward and rushed out as fast as lightning. The three experts have rushed out, what are you waiting for? Now is not the time to lose. Let's go, now is the time to rush into the safe zone. Senior brother Fan is going, quick. Those who could chase after Fan Fong to watch the show were naturally extremely curious disciples. At this moment, they naturally wouldn't give up. Although it was a little dangerous, cultivators lived their lives in danger. With so many people, it was nothing compared to the perilous experience. As long as there was a sliver of a chance, they could rush into the safe zone. Fan Fong is rushing over. There are so many cultivators. This is going to be interesting. It can't be. What a stunning woman. Who is that? His aura seems to be stronger. Fan Fong, the stunning beauty, and Xianxia, who had caught up from behind, took the lead. The three of them knew that if they worked together, it would be easier to deal with the red flame beast and rush into the safe zone. Roar! As Fan Fong and the others charged toward it, the red flame beast turned and let out an enraged roar. This roar was obviously different from the previous one. It was like a clap of thunder that pierced through the heavens. It contained a terrifying aura that seemed capable of destroying the heavens and extinguishing the earth. All of the demonic beasts within a 500-kilometer radius prostrated themselves on the ground, their necks tucked in, and their bodies trembled. Some early-stage golden elixir realm cultivators fell from the sky like dumplings being dropped into a pot. Sound wave attack. Get out of my way. Sword raining meteor cut. Fan Fong shouted. Mountain piercing fist. Sky pointing finger. Fan Fong, Xianxia, and the stunning beauty, who were in the lead, displayed their powerful skills one after another when they were about 1,000 feet away from the red flame beast. Their restrained aura suddenly burst out to an extremely terrifying level, almost at the same time. Fan Fong displayed the sword raining firmament skill, the unparalleled skill of the sword raining sect. He pinched his fingers together, and the sword itself contained a terrifying aura that seemed to tear the void apart. Xianxia condensed a golden fist that exuded an ancient mystery, containing a terrifying aura that was no weaker than Fan Fong's. The stunning beauty pointed out a finger, and the surrounding space froze. The violent and thick energy of heaven and earth gathered madly in her jade-like finger, which was emitting an icy blue light. However, the jade-like finger did not expand at all, and it still looked like a real person's finger. Compared to the mountain-like red flame beast, it was even smaller than an ant in front of an elephant. However, its light became brighter and brighter, more and more condensed, and the incomparably fierce and invincible aura shocked countless cultivators in the safe zone who were watching this scene. So powerful, one is Fan Fong, and the other is the super genius Xianxia, who is ranked first in the 7th grade sect, the Myriad Elixir Pavilion. I'm afraid their strength is about the same. Who is that stunning beauty? She is also very strong. I'm afraid she is no weaker than the two of them. Strange. With such strength and such a peerless beauty, how can she not be famous? How can you even know her, senior brother? Most likely, she is a super genius from a powerful sect who just came out to gain experience. Otherwise, it is impossible that no one knows her. When the crowd saw the powerful attacks of the three experts, they instantly broke into a discussion. Especially the stunning beauty. It was not strange that no one knew her, but it was a little strange that the countless disciples present who often went out to gain experience did not know her at all. The only explanation was that she was a disciple who had just come out to gain experience. Such situations often occurred in powerful sections. It was not rare for sects that had ultimate techniques that required a pure and untainted soul to cultivate. For example, the 9th grade sect, Ling Tian sect, had an ultimate technique that required the purest soul to cultivate. Roar! Even the highly intelligent red flame beast could feel the aura of the three ant-like humans. They were not inferior to the hateful Chen Hao in the slightest. Even compared to Duan Yufei, who was almost killed by it, there was not much difference. Therefore, at this moment, it stretched out its arm that was 1,000 feet long. With a roar, a fist the size of a small mountain blasted toward the three people's attacks. Boom! 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 Three terrifying explosions sounded almost at the same time. Fan Fang's sword abruptly dodged the roaring flame beast's fist at an amazing speed, then turned into a huge light screen, slashing towards the roaring flame beast's neck. The roaring flame beast's lava-like body was cut into two halves by the neck. The stunning beauty's ant-like finger shot directly between the red flame beast's eyebrows. With a loud bang, it pierced through the red flame beast's body. Crash! The red flame beast's lava-like body immediately collapsed. However, this time, the collapse was like a mountain torrent that rolled toward the three of them. Break! 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 Boom! 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 The three of them frantically activated their strongest protective true origin energy to force back the lava that contained the red flame beast's terrifying will that burned everything. At the same time, they turned into three streaks of light that were as fast as lightning. With a loud rumble, they successfully rushed into the safe zone. Swoosh! 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 Some cultivators with higher cultivation seized this critical opportunity and swarmed into the safe zone like a swarm of locusts. However, some of the weaker disciples who did not accurately estimate the red flame beast's power and whose protective true origin energy was broken by the terrifying temperature of the lava halfway through the safe zone. They screamed miserably and were set ablaze. Then, they turned into ashes without leaving even a trace. The gold cores in their bodies became the red flame beast's nourishment. This horrible scene scared some of the cultivators out of their wits and they quickly retreated. Roar! The roar that resounded through the heaven and earth became the alarm bell that signaled the red flame beast's bloodlust. With the nourishment of the gold cores, the red flame beast took shape again in just a breath's time. Its aura became even more terrifying. The lava-like energy condensed into numerous fireballs and shot down the cultivators who were fleeing in panic. As for the disciples who did not hesitate and continued to rush forward, although they were severely injured, they succeeded. When enemies meet on a narrow path, the brave will win. In fact, many of the dead could have fought their way through, but they had lost their courage and could only die. What a terrifying guy! The beautiful girl in her blue dress was untainted by a speck of dust. She completely ignored the burning gazes and turned to stare at the red flame beast behind her, thinking to herself. It had to be said that a beautiful girl, especially a powerful one, would attract the most attention no matter where she went. Fan Fang and Nia Wanshan were equally powerful, but almost all eyes were focused on the stunning blue dress. Son of a bitch, Chen Hao, get out here. Fan Fang did not give the crowd much time to wait. With a sudden explosion, like a thunderclap, the whole palace trembled. Some of the weaker cultivators activated their protective true origin energy and quickly retreated. Senior brother, this Fan Fang is not as strong as Chen Hao, right? Chen Hao cut the red flame beast in half with a single sword strike. The three of them joined forces. It's hard to say. It doesn't matter whether they joined forces or not. Chen Hao hid his aura and launched a sneak attack. Fan Fang and the other two fought head-on. Besides, didn't Fan Fang cut the red flame beast in half with a single sword strike? Let's wait and see, the show is about to start. Could Nia Wanshan and the girl be the experts that Fan Fang has invited? I don't think so. These people are very concerned about their own reputations. They would not join forces against Chen Hao, who is only at the intermediate golden core stage. Son of a bitch, how dare he call him son of a bitch? No one objected to Fan Fang's words, but the girl in the blue dress, beautiful eyes, hidden under the black veil, shone with an undetectable murderous intent. At that moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on a huge palace. Fan Fang's sharp senses naturally picked up on the crowd's discussion. Coupled with the crowd's gaze, he was instantly sure that Chen Hao was not lying to him, and that he was in that palace. Hiss! Fan Fang turned into a ray of light and rushed to the entrance of the palace where Chen Hao was. Son of a bitch, come out. Today, I, Fan Fang, will tear you to pieces and destroy your soul. Fan Fang roared and slammed his palm on the palace door. Fan Fang knew that he would not be able to break it, but he could not suppress the anger in his heart. The expression on his face became ferocious and terrifying. He had waited for this day for too long. Now, he could finally avenge his beloved sister. Chapter 250. Another word, son of a bitch. Fan Fang's mind was only filled with the desire to avenge his sister and tear Chen Hao to shreds. He didn't notice that not far away, the girl in the blue dress was biting her lips under the black veil. Her eyes once again emitted a strong killing intent that was bone-chilling. Nye Wanshan, on the other hand, had noticed the blue-dressed girl's strange behavior. However, at this moment, both he and the blue-dressed girl were standing behind Fan Fang, and Fan Fang was standing at the entrance of the palace. From this angle, Nye Wanshan could not help but misunderstand. He thought to himself, could it be that she also has a grudge against that Chen Hao? That's fun. Chen Hao is on good terms with Lang Yihan. I can use him to attack Lang Yihan. Fan Fang, right? Hiss. Nye Wanshan's lips curled into a proud smile. In a flash, he appeared beside Fan Fang. What? Brother Nye, are you going to interfere? Fan Fang, who was furious, frowned and said coldly. If it were anyone else, he would have killed them. However, Nye Wanshan was so powerful that he did not dare to. That's right. But you don't have to worry. I, Nye Wanshan, am helping you. You can kill him. I just need to teach him a lesson. If I don't teach a son of a bitch on the 100 Empire ranking a lesson, I will be very unhappy. Especially if he is on good terms with Lang Yihan. Ahem, I forgot. You are also on the 100 Empire ranking. But I didn't mean to criticize you. Ha. Fan Fang's face became very ugly. If not for the fact that his goal was to kill Chen Hao, he would have already attacked Nye Wanshan. Chen Hao is still not coming out. He must be afraid. Fan Fang's aura is indeed terrifying. He is half a step away from the nascent soul stage. I heard that he was half a step away from the nascent soul stage a long time ago. Based on his talent, he should have triggered the divine punishment long ago. The only reason he hasn't is because of Chen Hao's inner demon. That should be the case. The divine punishment does not only test the physical body, but also the state of mind. Even someone as strong as Fan Fang does not dare to be careless. The slightest carelessness will result in the destruction of both body and soul. No wonder Chen Hao would save Duan Yufei and Xiao Lanlan from Ling Tian's sect. He's so smart. It's obvious that he's waiting for Duan Yufei and Xiao Lanlan to help him after they've healed. Phew. Nye Wanshan wants to participate as well. Interesting. So it seems that the girl in the blue dress is also with them. TSK, 3 against 3, things are going to get interesting. They're all super geniuses. But Duan Yufei and Xiao Lanlan's injuries will take a long time to recover. Otherwise, Fan Fang and the other two won't stand a chance. When Fan Fang began to attack the palace gates and Nye Wanshan intervened, the crowd was abuzz with discussion. Although they didn't know how long the stalemate would last, there was no doubt that once Chen Hao came out, he would erupt with something that was beyond everyone's imagination. These cultivators were looking forward to seeing such a battle between super genius disciples. If they could understand a thing or two, it would be beneficial to their own cultivation. Save Duan Yufei and Xia Lanlan from the Ling Tian sect. What did he mean? Could it be that these two are also here? The crowd's discussion did not escape the ears of the girl in the blue dress. However, Nie Wanshan and Fan Fong, who had their own thoughts, were not in the mood to listen to the small fry's discussion. Hiss hiss hiss. At this moment, as soon as Nie Wanshan finished speaking, a dense aura suddenly came out of the palace where Chen Hao was. Ah! How's this possible? The aura of a breakthrough. Chen Hao is breaking through at this moment. The crowd immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. The mysterious and dense qi would only appear when one was breaking through to the next realm. Without a doubt, Chen Hao had entered the barrier of the intermediate aura's core stage at this critical moment. This was something that no one had expected. After all, Chen Hao's aura was only at the intermediate stage of the golden core realm. He had not even reached the peak of the intermediate stage. How could he break through to the intermediate stage now? Fan Fong's brows furrowed when he heard the crowd's discussion and exclamations. Initially, he was still hesitating whether he should agree to Nie Wanshan's request. However, at this moment, he nodded abruptly. A hint of viciousness flashed across his face as he said, "This son of a bitch killed my sister. I'll let him have a taste of qi deviation." Ha ha ha. Voila, the crowd burst into a buzz of discussion. How ruthless. Shameless, how could he do this? Lower your voice. Don't invite trouble. In the world of cultivation, interrupting the cultivation of others was a taboo. When others were breaking through to the next stage, no one was allowed to disturb them. This was especially true after the Golden Core realm. If a cultivator was disturbed while breaking through to the next stage, it was very likely that they would suffer qi deviation. At best, they would fail to break through and suffer physical and mental damage. At worst, their cultivation would be crippled. This was undoubtedly a very sinister and despicable thing to do. Fan Fong instantly gathered a huge amount of energy and was about to slam his palm on the palace doors. Scram! At this moment, what no one could have imagined was that a cold and furious roar suddenly exploded out. Hiss! A blue streak of light appeared in front of Fan Fong at lightning speed, and a jade-like hand like ice violently met Fan Fong's attack. Pang! There was a dull sound of energy colliding. The blue figure staggered back 3 steps, each step leaving a deep footprint on the hard stone floor. Fan Fong, on the other hand, took a step back. Only then did everyone see who had blocked Fan Fong's path. The girl in the blue dress. You want to help that son of a bitch? Fan Fong's eyes suddenly became murderous as he stared at the beautiful girl. Such shameless behavior, you are the son of a bitch. You are worse than a son of a bitch. If you have the guts, fight him fair and square. Yes, that's right, Miss Chen is right. Fan Fong, you are more or less a person. Interrupting someone's breakthrough is such a despicable action. You are at least a super genius of a 6th-rank sect. This is unbearable. Nie Wanshan was stunned for a moment. Then, he took advantage of the situation and put on a sanctimonious look. He stared at Fan Fong and said with a trace of disdain in his eyes. Fan Fong's face turned ashen as he gritted his teeth. He did not take the girl in the blue dress seriously just because of the collision of their palms. At most, he could just destroy her. But Nie Wanshan's change of stance made him very angry. You are not a good person either. So what if you are a disciple of the 100 Empire ranking? I am a disciple of the 100 Empire ranking. If you want to fight, I will keep you company. What caused Nie Wanshan's expression to change greatly was that not only did the young girl in a blue dress not give him face in the slightest, her peerlessly beautiful eyes that were hidden under the black veil instead contained a wisp of piercingly cold killing intent as she looked at him and spoke with disdain. Get out of here. Whoever dares to stop him from breaking through will die. Hiss. What happened next shocked everyone even more. The girl in the blue dress strangely disappeared before everyone's eyes. Not only did she disappear, but her aura also disappeared. Even an expert like Fan Fong could not capture any aura. What was even more shocking was that streaks of sharp and cold sword light were flashing at the entrance of the palace, like venomous snakes on standby, ready to launch a fatal attack at any time. Lang Yihan? No, it can't be Lang Yihan. Nie Wanshan's expression changed greatly. When he felt a pair of viper eyes vaguely lock onto him, he was shocked. This concealment technique was exactly the same as Lang Yihan's. But Lang Yihan was a man, and the one in front of him was a woman. The aura of the two were completely different, but the only similarity was their concealment technique. It must be related to Lang Yihan. Fuck. Could it be Lang Yihan's lover? You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. No wonder you looked at me so coldly. No wonder you know so much about the matters of the Sword Clan. So you are Lang Yihan's man. Very good, very good. You have crossed my bottom line. Today, I, Nie Wanshan, will let you know the consequences of playing tricks on me, bitch. Boom. Nie Wanshan no longer had any scruples. He tore off his mask of hypocrisy. His expression was ferocious, and his aura erupted like a flood. At the same time, he said to Fan Fong, do what you have to do. Today, we will work together to kill this bitch and those bastards of the 100 Empire ranking. There are 3 of them, and that bitch Lang Yihan. Just like this bitch, they are good at concealment. They must be around. Okay. Although Fan Fong was disgusted by those bastards of the 100 Empire ranking, he could only let it go at this point. After all, Nie Wanshan had already explained that he was not talking about him. As soon as he finished speaking, he did not need Nie Wanshan's reminder. His aura was raised to the limit. He, who was half a step away from the nascent soul stage, released a terrifying aura that was not inferior to Nie Wanshan's. The girl in the blue dress, who had concealed her aura, frowned. Her expression was grave. She was a little annoyed. Why didn't she hold it in? She should have held it in. At least wait for Chen Hao to come out. Now that she was facing one of them, she was confident that she could handle it. But if there were 2 of them, rumble, just as the battle was about to break out, everyone was confused. They did not understand the relationship between the girl in the blue dress, Fan Fong, Nie Wanshan, Chen Hao, and Lang Yihan, who had not appeared at all. Suddenly, a huge palace beside them opened with a rumble. Duan Yufei and Xiao Lanlan came out together. 2 extremely powerful auras instantly shrouded the entire palace complex. Duan Yufei's gaze contained a soul-stirring power. Whoever dares to interrupt Chen Hao's ascension will die. Whoosh! Duan Yufei held Xiao Lanlan's hand and appeared at the entrance of Chen Hao's palace as if he was taking a stroll. He completely ignored the girl in the blue dress's hidden aura. Firstly, the situation earlier was under his control. The girl in the blue dress was with them. Secondly, although the girl in the blue dress's concealment technique was so powerful that he could not see through it, Duan Yufei was confident that even if the girl in the blue dress wanted to attack him, he had enough strength to block it. Duan Yufei's voice was not cold, but coupled with his terrifying aura, it directly shook people's hearts. No one doubted the authenticity of Duan Yufei's words. Fan Fong and Nie Wanshan were a little stunned. They did not understand why Duan Yufei would suddenly appear and help Chen Hao. How could Duan Yufei and the others not know? He was the super genius who ranked 9th in the inner court of the grade 9 sect, Ling Tian sect. Don't worry. As long as Chen Hao comes out, I won't interfere. You can fight however you want. It has nothing to do with me who lives or dies, Duan Yufei said calmly with a disdainful expression when he saw Fan Fong and Nie Wanshan's shocked eyes. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. To vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.